to Marshalltown. I jumped on road to Marshalltown.
And she's like, do you have
Then I
power?
went back, got back in the road, I did come in late. She just, there's still, street, Main Street is packed out.
I just get so much.
I should do a board point of order for everybody here. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. So you have the meeting minutes, reports, and other items on the consent agenda. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So,
Motion by Adam.
Sorry. Richard.
Oh, motion by Dick, second by Matt. To approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion?
So is this where we have discussion of financials?
Yes.
Okay, I had a couple questions. One, I had a question on some bills. Menards, $528 for plants.
So this would have been for plants around various parts of the, like buildings and stuff within the district and the flower beds, and I also believe it includes some bushes and trees too.
Okay, open enrollment for Ballard.
So this would be one of our open rolls out. It could be due to like moving or things like that too. So
Okay, what is HASCO? HAASCO. You said $1,400, 2 sets of PCM. What is that?
Was Haskell the volleyball
I think so.
group or whatever, so the inserts, I think.
The sleeves for
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And how much does the high school use Go Guardian? Do they use it?
That's yeah.
They
A
do.
lot. That's our content filter locker.
Because we don't use it much at the elementary, I just wondered.
So it would be used on all devices for content filtering, but then like high school uses it a little bit more within the classroom for classroom management and monitoring too.
Okay.
So
Okay,
yeah.
I just wondered about that. And then I don't think I saw a payment of credit card bills, did I? I didn't see any credit card bills.
BMO.
listed
We,
on here.
yeah,
so-
got the BMO statements.
BMOs generally weekly submitted to Matt and I. So Aaron and Christine submit those weekly to us, and then we review those as well too. So they have itemized line by line. And then in the overall report, it's the BMO credit card. So we go through there and list that stuff.
Right, but I don't see the payment actually to be in low for anything on either one of these reports.
Okay.
So I'll follow up on that.
I had a question. Apple, 54,000, was it one-time bulk technology? Is that something we do every year?
That was staff device purchases,
Yeah, okay.
so.
And if I recall, we bought them this year rather than
Yep.
leasing them because of the
It would
bond.
impact the amount we borrow.
Oh, I see.
That was approved with the
Yeah.
submission.
A couple months
Yeah, I
ago.
remember that, yep, that's right.
So, I mean, I guess, Jen, do you want us to, so Matt and I approve these, so when they can do the bills payable weekly, I mean, do you want us to just forward that to the greater group each time?
I just didn't know where it was.
Okay.
Cause I knew there must have been one.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
didn't know, like, where is it showing up there?
Yeah.
That's what I was worried about.
Because usually, like, on the weekly statements, the BMO credit card receipts are listed in that, and then we'll shoot Aaron and Christine, like, hey, what about this? We kind of do the same thing that you're doing as well, too. And we can send them out to the bigger board, but that was kind of the request a while ago, was to try to, like, almost have like almost a mini finance committee go through and kind of look at and double check some of that stuff.
I'm fine with that, but I still think that when we pay the bill should show up here as something
Yeah.
we paid.
Yeah, agree.
You know, and I trust you guys, you're looking at it with all your diligence, but we still should see that the bill is paid.
Right, okay.
And honestly, if it's not a big deal, you could throw the detail out there, but it's already done and over with, and you're auditing it, but it still should show as a payment.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank
any
you.
questions?
Thanks.
Any other, questions, comments?
So, do we have anything, I see we just got the fundraising things, is there
Yeah.
anything on there?
So there's only the one would be for fine arts boosters, so, they're doing a rec room for Gladbrook-Reinbeck. And then the other thing that would be included within that would just be annual fundraisers. So,
So nothing we really need to approve because it's Booster Club.
right, but, yeah, just for,
So I did notice like when we were kind of leading up to this, everybody was assigning people tasks. I would say let's get Kate, since she manages this, that she's in charge of putting that on
Yep.
the thing and start to delegate each one of those monthly. And that sort of responsibility get updated and posted on this. We did have the conversation about when the band trips and fundraisers were coming up, I sent you some of those earlier. But yeah, let's start delegating
Yep.
this out to the.
And it is still, I mean, we still should be able to approve those, I get that sometimes we miss them. The only thing I would piggyback on there is I noticed there was a conversation about butter braids, and part of the whole idea of implementing this years ago was to help ensure that we didn't overstep across other organizations were doing, like the daycares, if they're doing butter braids or, you know, whatever. You know, we had Red Wheel with DC kids that we're not duplicating those efforts, so I appreciated those comments, but, get these out earlier so at least we can review them.
yep.
Thank you.
Also, did we get a follow-up on getting last fiscal years, like
We're working on
updated?
getting those, the reconciliations added in, so.
Okay, and now for like this fiscal year, do we have an expectation of what timeline is, I guess, to get some of those reconciliations in? Cause I thought it was supposed to be like profit earned, I wanna say it, like a couple weeks was the expectations after the end of it?
Yep.
I think is what it said on last fiscal years.
Yeah, so we'll review that with staff and stuff when we get back to school as well, so.
Okay.
So I think you're alluding to all the balance reports and everything that are not listed here.
Essentially the profit
Yeah.
earned, the reconciliation, yes,
Yeah.
like columns N through Q.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Alright, so we have the original motion by Dick, second by Matt to approve the consent agenda. We'll proceed to vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion carries. Alright, next item is we'll go through the special reports first. So the first one is high school band and voter trip request. So floor is yours, go through the proposal.
All right, I have a little handout to give you guys, so you know what I'm reading from. I'm pretty much gonna read it just word for word, but when you know what I'm looking at, I don't forget to say anything. Jeez Louise, this is a death trap.
Workman's comp.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'm on the clock, to be honest. So,
Yeah, that can be great. Anyway, thank you.
alrighty, so what you have in front of you is basically my script for 2 pages, and then there's the tentative tour agreement. And then the tentative itinerary is also there if you guys will look at while I'm talking through it. So, I'm requesting approval for the high school band and choir trip this spring. This trip will offer students opportunities to expand their knowledge, provide meaningful learning experiences, and apply classroom learning in a real-world setting. So, our destination is Nashville, and the dates would be the Thursday through Saturday of spring break. Technically, we would arrive shortly after midnight on Sunday, but I figured putting it through Saturday kind of got my point across. So the students that would be able to participate would be the high school band and choir students. Obviously, this isn't a required trip, but we're hoping to get as much of the cost covered so that way it's accessible to all of our students. So far, our chaperones that we know for sure are paid for, covered, done all the stuff is myself, Mr. Kirchma, and Mr. Brad. I did reach out to the travel company yesterday about additional chaperones. So it says on the tour agreement what it would cost to add an extra person. But one of the things they sent me said we could have potentially 4 or 5 chaperones. So I just reached out for clarity on that. We'll be driving down there, a nice long 10-hour drive to Tennessee. And we'll be staying at the Holiday Inn right next to the Nashville airport. Some of the things that students will get to experience are tours of Vanderbilt University, the Country Music Hall of Fame, and the recording studio that's there, where they will also get to have a recording session. We'll have clinics and performances with and for the faculty at Vanderbilt University. We'll see a show at the Grand Ole Opry. They will see a line dancing lesson, or they will get to do them. I think that's what I'm most excited about. So for student expectations prior to that trip, they need to maintain academic eligibility. And then while we are on our excursion, to follow all district policies and student handbook and to represent the school and community positively at all times. For security and supervision, the travel agency provides private nighttime security at the hotel. We have emergency contact and information for all of the participants. First aid, supplies, and access to medical care are covered and accessible throughout the trip. Student accountability procedures such as making sure we don't lose anybody, and clear behavioral expectations and supervision at all of our scheduled activities. So this is the part that you guys actually want to hear about, which is the financial information and the numbers. So the anticipated total cost with the estimated numbers that we have is $39,000, and it includes transportation, lodging, meals, admission fees, and all other trip-related expenses. The way that it's set up right now is that the only thing students would have to pay for out of their own pockets would be the meals on the trip down and on the way back. I think it's a snack and a lunch on the way down, and then lunch and dinner on the way back. So some of our funding sources already that we know we have locked and loaded. The Booster Club has put forward $16,000, and we have $3,860 in our fundraising accounts already. That covers already over 50% of that $39,000. So we have $19,140 approximately left to raise. So the fundraisers that we've done every year are the Butter Braid fundraiser and the football concession stand. So you can see our estimated numbers. I think Rod said they were pretty conservative numbers, and I trust him on that. So that leaves us approximately $14,600 to raise with our Ragbri fundraiser and our donation drive, which are both board approved, I believe. With past trips, and Rod, correct me if I'm wrong and I'm just saying things. So with the other files that I have from past trips, what it looks like to me from the information that I have is that the Booster Club or the school would pay for $200-ish. It varied across the trips. And then the families were it was up to them to pay for the rest of the trip. I'm hoping to flip that. So we already have so much of it covered, and I'm hoping to really drive home these fundraisers. If you look on the tour agreement, and back side of the tour agreement, where it has the payment schedule, we have those first 2 payments already covered in the fundraising that we already have in our accounts. So that sets us up pretty well. Looking back at past trips, they've gone to Chicago like 3 times, and we looked at Chicago and Nashville. St. Louis we kind of eliminated because there wasn't a ton for us to do that week we were going. And Nashville was actually slightly cheaper than Chicago, so this was the cheapest option that we had. So hopefully we're able to cover all of the costs for students, but I also understand that $14,000 is a lot to come up with. But even if you were to divide that across, and I'm not good at math, but I did my best, what students paid on the last trip would be what they would pay if we raised no money at the Red Briar donation run. So we are already much better off than we have been in the past. Are there any financial questions that you guys have for me before I kind of close it out?
So like right now, breakdown about, if it had to be passed on to students, it'd be about $542 per kid.
Yes, somewhere in there.
So, no. I think if we need to come up with some additional, like, you know, fundraising efforts, things like that, I think we got help with ideas and stuff there too.
So our plan is, the plan for the kids is to go during the beginning of our spring break or after spring break?
It's the end, so like our spring break it's still scheduled like a Monday through Friday, nothing's changed with the addition. So it's that Thursday, and then I actually moved it back. I think you guys had the updated one. Originally, they were getting back at 12:30 in the morning on that Monday, and then they would have to go to school. I pushed that back, so I'm hoping that's the addition that I gave you, is that it says Sunday and not Monday, because that's what it will be. Okay, so I did
My
like that.
concern is from the travel agency perspective, do they have any concerns with having like other people's spring breaks there at the same time as a whole bunch of high schoolers, I guess?
Oh, like in Nashville?
Yeah.
That's the other reason we didn't go with Chicago, was because of the whole Rivers Green and all their St. Patty's stuff was conflicted. Yeah, so we are attempting to avoid any of that chaos.
Well, I think it's more along Nashville's kind of gained the reputation of, you know, being
They have
a party
bar.
town. And during spring break it's elevated a little bit.
And I can bring that concern up with the travel company and make sure that we're covered it.
Actually, we also do business with World Strides, so I'm really comfortable with your travel company. And we've got some really good relationships with them, so your program is well done. One thing I would ask, did they ask you to investigate flying versus a bus ride?
It was astronomically more expensive.
Even to fly like the Allegiant, it's like $90 each way.
Again, I can absolutely check, but we looked at it, like at our first, like we were kind of looking at all of our options, like when I first started talking to them, like last January, that did come up and it was gonna be a lot more expensive.
I would just have them revisit it just as a suggestion, because spending 20 hours on a bus for a 3-day, 4-day trip is
It's a long time, yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, you're gonna need a bus when you get there, but I know that when we did stuff for the DC trip, they said, well, you can take the bus, it's less expensive, well, it's 18 hours one way, you know,
It
so.
is, and we would have to pay for the bus anyway.
Yeah, but it's cheaper, so I'm just asking, suggesting maybe.
I was looking at neighboring, airports, like, cause I think Cedar Rapids has cheap flights, my sister
Yeah.
was in Tennessee and she would fly into
Well,
Des
Des
Moines.
Moines, I mean, I'm flying national, it's $90 each way.
Yeah. So just make sure that they're looking at other airports,
And
not
they generally
just.
do.
Yeah, I will double check on that,
So
absolutely.
I'll kind of like
But
remind
You're gonna want a direct flight, so.
the board that
Yes.
like spring break is like the hot time for
Right.
bands to get on these
Like,
trips.
to do more.
Like, I think last year I had like 3 nieces and nephews that took a 3-day trip to Disney, was on the bus overnight, so this is a pretty common thing.
Yep, I know.
So like, just keep that in mind, it's
Yeah,
not.
my van drove to New York City, we had to sleep on the bus.
Yeah.
They did that, so
Down there.
luckily they don't have to do that.
And then just lastly, just make sure you gotta have, for your kids, I think it's 1 chaperone per 8.
Yes, and right now it's at 9, if we have every kid that I've estimated to go, which is why I reached out to the.
Yeah, we'll need to get paid, so thank you.
Yeah,
Now, they say you have 27 students. Can that change? I mean,
oh, yeah.
up or down?
Yes, yes. Like I said, we won't have official numbers until I'm able to go, hey, this is where we're going, these are the dates, and then get people signed up and things like that. So everything's still a ballpark. Yeah, best numbers I can get with the information that I have at the moment.
Thursday's the only time down in Broadway.
Yeah.
That's great.
That was Main Street, that was a jerk.
If it makes you feel any better, I went on a band and choir trip to Nashville. It was very informative, and we did go to Broadway for a meal one time. So
Yes.
that's why I asked about with it coinciding with spring break. We didn't do ours during a traditional spring break time. Like I think ours was like later in April. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to make sure that they were kind of taking that into consideration.
I will for sure double check with that.
We don't have any other school trips that week.
One thing I would request is let's circle back and just have you do just a quick touch point with us in like November-ish.
Yeah.
So then that way you'll get numbers and then we have still have time. I mean, ideally, however much we can drag down the cost for
Yeah.
students is what we want to do. If we get $2.99 a student or less, perfect. Then that's, that's our goal, is always make it so everybody can attend. And so, then that way we still have some time to react with, 19,000 is a lot to go in fundraising.
It is.
So that's where, let's just keep the communication going and then, go from there, so.
I have a feeling you guys are gonna get sick of me at some point. From you for questions and all that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So thank you for presenting to us, appreciate it, thank you.
Awesome, I appreciate it, thanks guys. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Okay.
I will move to approve the Nashville Band Choir trip as it is presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Doug, second by Jen, to approve the Nashville trip as presented.
Just really quick question, this is the once every 4-year trip?
Yes, sir.
I would just maybe encourage us to work with the fundraisers starting, you know,
Earlier?
to make sure that you're raising like 25% of it a year.
Sure.
I don't, you know, I know we've had some turnover there, but let's try to make this very affordable for trips in 4 years. And I also want to reach out and thank the Fine Arts Boosters for all the work they're doing to help support this effort.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other comments, concerns? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Happy planning. Okay, next one is, we have the FFA for chapter update. You guys can take it away. Well, just remember, before you speak, make sure you say your name and what grade you're in. She's got one.
You need to know lights are on, we're good. Okay, I'm good.
This is our presentation of the Gladbrook-Reinbeck pay update.
Our officers, Presley Beard is our president, but she could not attend today.
I'm Lane Bukai, I'm a vice president.
I'm Kinsey Keenan, I'm the secretary.
I'm Kuna Vizu-Urson, I'm the treasurer.
I'm Dallin Nicholas, I'm one of the reporters.
And I'm Ella Wagner, the other reporter.
I'm Caleb Bowser, and I'm the sentinel.
Our education enrollment Currently, 100% of the 8th graders are enrolled, 92% of the 9th graders, 61 of the 10th graders. And for 11th grade, it's 65, and then 12th grade is 34%. And then our total is 64%, 112 out of 175 of GR students in grades 8 through 12 are enrolled in agricultural education class.
Some SAE data. SAE supervised agriculture experience, particular hands-on learning in agricultural fields. 82.8% of ag students have an SAE. 51 SAEs meet Iowa's work-based learning requirements. 9 FFA members earned an industry-recognized credential. During the 2025-2026 school year, GR Ed students earned $47,143 from SAE projects, invested $8,628 into the SAE projects, worked 51 hours of unpaid labor, 306 hours of community service, 7,748 economic value of community service projects, total economic value, $105,965.
FFA remember that. So 9th grade we have 16, 10th grade there's 10, 11th grade 18, 12th grade 7, 13th grade 10, and 14th grade 3. So a total of 64 members, which is 36 of the GR high school population.
GR FFA competed in 17 contests. Contests allow members to showcase their career and academic knowledge while competing against peers from other districts. FFA contests are not divided based on school size. GR FFA competes against all size schools in Iowa, and 77% of GR FFA members competed in at least one contest.
Superior National Chapter Award. FFA chapters are evaluated using national quality chapter standards and programs of activities that emphasize growing leaders, building communities, and strengthening activity. Gladbrook-Reinbeck FFA received the Superior National Chapter Award this year for the first time. We received this award in recent history. So the first 3 are my favorite events to go to. National Convention, they take you out to Indianapolis. They hold the opening ceremonies and a bunch of workshops and basically a giant mall where you get a bunch of free stuff and buy things. State Convention is a smaller version but just as fun. Everyone from Iowa in FFA goes and you do the same thing. There's opening ceremonies, you receive rewards, you do contests, and there's also a bunch of free stuff. Ski trip, we go to Boone. If you raise enough money at all food sales, they get you go to the ski trip and you ski at that.
I was a petting zoo because it's just interesting to see how many FFA students actually have animals that you don't know about. And it's fun seeing the elementary kids come over and their jaws just drop at the animals.
Iowa's chapter website this year, I presented all of the time that you did it, and we ended up getting gold at districts.
My favorite event is livestock judging, so this is where you go and you evaluate like cattle, sheep, hogs, goats on like market value standards and breeding standards as well. And then you give like oral reasons why you placed the animals you did, and then there's also questions as well. And like as a chapter, we do pretty good at these contests, I'd say.
I put soil judging. I liked it because you kind of got to put up dirt. But basically you'd go out and there was like different pits and you would like test out different like textures and see how good the soil is for planting and stuff. I thought it was fun.
Teacher trends and innovations. Improve outreach to the elementary school throughout classroom visits. Start fundraising efforts for a new FFA greenhouse.
2026 FFA pumpkin patch, 8th grade FFA launch for the 2026 through the 2027 school year, launch socials for FFA members throughout the year, packing meals for farmers in harvest, increase SAE enrollment to 90%, increase contest participation to 85%. Ag leadership will be offered every trimester, new ag classes, agronomy, horticulture, animal production, ag sales, and ag issues.
Thank you. Ways to stay in touch, you can email. We send out a monthly GLFA newsletter of past events, new events, any information you could possibly need. More so you guys know, we have a Facebook page. We actually have 2 now. But you can go there and see what we've been doing throughout the community and in the school. We also have Instagram. And we just started a new TikTok.
New TikTok account.
If you guys have any questions, ask away.
Carl, the classes you're starting, those are classes that we're offering in high school, or are they directly through FFA?
In high school.
Okay, cool. Next thing, you mentioned the website, right? Your chapter website?
It is a contest we do at sub-districts, or starts at sub-districts, and we present to 3 judges, and if you do good enough, you will go to districts. And I presented at sub-districts and districts, and ended up getting gold at districts and not advancing to state.
So is that a website, like a normal website?
You make a website just about our chapter.
Sure, do we have a link?
Like,
Yes,
We've got a link on our site?
Facebook is linked on there.
Okay.
I can get it, add a link to the website.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any opportunities that you guys are looking for that you maybe need help, like, getting connections for? Like, if you wanna learn more about agronomy, or like see how that's utilized in different functions, whether it's like on a family farm or like with other companies, like, are there areas where you guys are interested in learning more?
I know we talked about like wanting to do more like tours maybe this year, like whether that be in like classes or as like a whole chapter, maybe taking like certain kids who like participated enough like that month. So maybe stuff like that, like when you do tours to like you said, local like farmers, or going to like a meat walker for like a meat class that we have, so.
All classes are very hands-on. It's not your usual class where you sit in the chair and staring at the computer, the screen all day. So I feel like if we can like get help reaching out to people to come in and talk to us and show us how to do more hands-on things, like more dissecting or plant stuff, any of that would be really helpful as well.
I see you guys left something off of your presentation, that your instructor was awarded an award for being an outstanding teacher. So that's great for you guys.
Where is it?
It's on here. Ms. McDougal was awarded the 2025 North Central District Outstanding Young Teacher Award by the Association of Educators.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would just say this, lastly, it's not a question, it's more of a compliment to the leadership you have, you as student leaders. The amount of students you have actively involved in this organization is tremendous. I wish we could get that kind of numbers in some of the other things that we're doing, band, chorus, other things we have as clubs, so kudos to that. And I appreciate your coming and presenting to us. But most importantly, I think this is a really good program. It's been a good program for years. You're continuing that excellence. So I want to congratulate on your success, and thanks for presenting.
Thank you.
One last question. What is 13th and 14th grade participants?
So when you're in FA, you can actually be a member until you're 21.
Really?
So we have members who have graduated that continue their membership. So they exhibit like at state fair, county fair, they can go to apply for their American degree. They can also apply for national and local FFA scholarships.
Okay. Make them come back to school and do stuff.
And then I just thought of this, make sure you're promoting your friends at FFA. I know some of us are members and stuff, but I think that's a great way for you to help keep other people involved and and raise some additional funding, but make sure you're promoting that actively.
And I was thinking of that also with the band choir, you know, you talk about a booster club, but I've never seen a membership drive for a fine arts booster club.
You do every concession stand season.
But you know, you get to that, you never see it, so.
Yeah.
I mean, Friends of FFA, the Fine Arts Booster Club, I think those are important to get support for the students and
And
programs.
don't forget for the people that aren't into the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, is when you do your website, always put a link for donate here. And then keep money flowing in, so like, there's people that will search it and go to it and link it, so good work.
And I don't know, I know I saw, it's either Grundy Center or South Hardin. You know, I know they got some national recognition for chapter things. You know, have you ever considered like a inter-chapter, you know, swap ideas?
We kind of do that. So back in June, they went to chapter officer leadership training, which is with all of the local schools. So it's what we call our North Central District, and they all talk amongst each other, and they come back like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And then as ag teachers, we're always talking like with our conferences and stuff. So.
I had a great conversation with Alice, was that just last week, or I think it was like just last week, and I would echo that. I think that's some of the best things. Like, you guys can sometimes be the most creative kids in the room, so make sure you're utilizing that. Like, there's passion areas and projects. The district that I previously came from, they had a group of boys that just loved grilling and got into like smoking meats, and it led to the development of an entire like meat processing class where they process like hogs, deer, all that every year, and they've now won multiple barbecue competitions. They have their own barbecue sauce they're selling. Like, it's pretty awesome, but that was entirely student driven. So like, never think that like a small idea or something you're really passionate about couldn't evolve into a really big kind of game changing thing too for a district and stuff. So keep those ideas flowing. You guys have some awesome ones, and I'm excited to see what you keep doing.
Like meat processing too, that'd be a great way to like work with the home ec class. I saw another school where they had the conservation board come in and show like how a deer is cut down and did all of that processing, so could be a good way to strengthen some relationships internally and unique opportunities.
Awesome, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in. You're
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
You guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting? Alright, well thanks guys, again for those, so now we'll kind of go on to the, regular reports. We'll just go do a quick update with Sean and Dan, and then field questions and kind of keep things moving, because we got quite a bit on the agenda this year, so Sean, I'll have you go ahead and give me your update for the summer.
I first have a bunch of pictures of what the building currently looks like. It's, each day it changes more and more, and so a lot of kudos goes to all the workers there. We put in a lot of hours of time. Playground, this playground equipment, we unloaded it off the truck this morning, so I think early next week we're going to get the concrete put in, and then week the 27th will be installation of it, and then after that, floor plate will be put in. Been trying to give, or updates to the staff with the different bulletins, and so they can see that stuff. Fast testing, we're starting to prep for that. We're trying to start a little bit early on September 3rd, just as starting later, trying to get all our data in and get interventions and get that information set squared away. Calendars, handbooks are all right there. But yeah, essentially right now, a lot of it's been just like uploading rosters to like different online platforms, Codable, Typing Agent, trying to get all that set up in JMC, set up for the 26th, 27th.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, Caleb gave Matt and I a tour last Friday.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You got to see all the, if you go in there right now, it doesn't look ready.
There's a lot more.
Looks a lot better than it did a couple weeks ago.
Big changes, it was pretty, like he showed us the old studs that were in the wall, and I don't know what the heck those architects were doing back in the day, but I'm surprised. They held up as long as they did. I don't envy the guys that dug those trenches for all the piping, holy cow. Yeah, it's quite a undertaking, so yeah, it's pretty cool to see the progress, but it gets worse before it gets better, right? So, yeah.
It was awesome to see the support this morning, unloading the truck, all the stuff.
Yeah, good. We had some football players that come help, and definitely was a big help. It was, yeah, we were probably going to until 11 getting that done.
I think the truck sat there overnight. It got there like 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
So it was great to see how fast it moved this morning.
Woke the driver up when we were starting unloading, and then came out. We were about halfway done, and then signed his papers and left.
Yeah, some exciting times for sure. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Sean about summer stuff?
Who's setting up the playground installation?
So we're doing the fundraising with the PTO, so the company is going to install it. So,
Okay.
which after unloading all that, I think that's the best case scenario. Instead of trying to get like volunteers for all that equipment, so.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, so next month this time.
Should be past, substantial completion,
Yeah.
so.
Maybe we'll have a meeting there.
But, sure we can find a place.
That's okay, furniture.
Yes, it won't be furniture.
Okay, well, thank you, appreciate it. Dan, how's your summer going?
Busy, busy as well. Not the construction busy, I don't have to, I actually have a building I can go into and actually do some work in, but, so I thought I'd take a different approach this month with my board, report, just kind of take a look at those SIAC goals that I presented last time and kind of what we've been doing since that time to kind of try to meet those goals, from the SIAC. One thing we talked about in the SIAC is that career-connected learning piece, and within the last month, the vast majority of my staff in our building have done some authentic learning training with Dr. Warren Williams, and I did add on there kind of a definition of what authentic learning was. I think, Doug, you asked me to give a good definition of what that is. Basically, it's an instructional approach in which students engage in meaningful real-world tasks that require them to not only know it, but they apply the skills that they've learned in their classroom settings. Rather than simply memorize information, students will learn by doing the work that mirrors the challenges and expectations that they'll encounter in college and careers, so on and so forth. So that's, when I say authentic learning, that's it in a nutshell. So we really had a great day. We had our leadership team, our building leadership team in for a day to work with Dr. Williams, and then she came back and worked with 17 of our 22 staff members. So that was a great day to learn and kind of work with her. Second goal area is all about those durable skills, those 21st century skills. Myself, this is going to be out of the box for me, I tell you what. I'm not necessarily a big technology guy, but I'm going to a robotics training in August 11th through the 13th. So I'll be a robotics coach, which is, again, way outside my line. But also Katie Lubert and Scott Fisher will also be doing the same training at a different time, just with schedules and everything, but we'll be ready to kick off that FTC program in the fall. We already have 13 kids in that robotics class. So that's a great start to get a group of kids that are interested in taking that to the next level. So I'm super excited about that work. In fact, I just talked to Katie today when she was in the building, and she's pretty jacked up about it as well too. So, and remember that all came through the STEM Best grant. So it's at very, very little cost for us as a district. So that's a tremendous thing for us. The third goal, kind of increasing that rigor and relevance. We've also, Jared, Amber, and I have been to a couple different CAPS trainings. Cedar Falls was able to do a training at no cost to us to train the three of us and a couple other newer people within the Cedar Valley CAPS program on kind of the protocols and pieces that need to be in place for that to start too. So we got one more day that we're gonna meet together. And then once the end of August rolls around, our kids will be working through that process and doing a mini sprint where they're going out and kind of seeing what that process looks like, and then they will be entrenched in that work. So again, I'm super excited about that program starting as well. So some of the other work that I've done, I didn't share it here, I probably could at some point, but we have a website within our staff that I link everything to. It's a one-stop hub for everything. So if a teacher was like, hey, I wonder what the schedule is, they go to that website and there's links to it. So that takes a massive amount of work to update every document on there. But we got that pretty much all done except for some of our MTSS stuff, which we need student data for. So that's kind of the next thing for me on the horizon. But that just takes a lot of time. I'm glad I have summer time to do that. So, and some flexibility to work in multiple different locations. So, any questions on what I presented or anything else that I haven't presented?
Just really quick on the CAPS, I think we were gonna put together some requirements for students to take, and maybe you can just share those at a later date. And I also, I just want to give you some kudos for the activity you planned the other day, where your staff went up to the escape rooms, the team building thing. I heard it was really good, and it was kind of put some people out of their element, and I just want to say thanks for getting that done.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. I'm kind of an out-of-box thinker kind of guy anyway, but trying to come up with some way to get our staff to engage with each other. And there's 8 of us there, and to see people that are normally kind of not necessarily going to take charge. This is that good, we got to do this. And it was, if you've ever done an escape room, you kind of know what we're talking about. If you haven't done one, I would certainly look at doing one. They are a lot of fun for families or teams or whatever else.
Did you escape? Did you escape?
Yes,
There you go.
with 2 minutes to spare. 15 minutes, we were out of there, so it was really cool. So, anything else? Any other questions?
One thing I'll add, I don't know if Katie talked with you about it, but her and I went to the signing day for the new Challenger Center that's getting added on to Hawkeye. So it's all through a grant process and stuff that was started by the families of the astronauts that were on the Challenger after it crashed. And the one at Hawkeye is going to be the first and only one in the entire state, but it's primary STEM-based programming for 5th through 8th graders, where essentially they get to go and do like an interactive, so like you can bring a class and then they'll assign roles within the class. So there'll be some that like stay in the control room and they're mission control, then you have a group that gets to become the astronauts, you have a group that then is the engineers, and they'll rotate through those stuff too. But it's a pretty cool thing that, that should be completed by the beginning of next year, I believe. So it's just something to keep on our radar. Yep, 27, 28 is when we're going to be able to open the doors for that. But with us being in the Cedar Valley, they're going to tend to cater towards kind of first come, first serve within the local area first to try to engage some programming there. So Katie was pretty excited about that too.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't necessarily dig into it as far as what it was, but well, that's cool. All right, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. Any other questions about the reports?
About any of the reports?
Pardon?
About any of the reports?
Yeah. Any comments or concerns or questions?
I'm thinking that the transportation director needs to give us a little bit more than what we're getting.
Who's on the transportation committee?
Jennifer and Matt, I believe. So I have down meeting scheduled here
That's
before August.
You know, one thing would be nice to, a report of all our school vehicles, like utilization and future plans. I know we have buses that we sit.
Right.
Well, and like now would be a good time, like I guess I would expect to kind of see quite a bit of activity for like annual repairs and like services and stuff when they're not in heavy rotation, so I would have agreed, I would have expected a little more.
And I know he's super busy with baseball, but.
Everybody's busy, and that's what he's getting paid to do.
Sure.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Next item on the agenda is personnel resignations. So we, the first one is the, junior high school strength and conditioning coach. That's the only one, sir.
I will move to approve the resignation of Colton Dinsdale as the high school strength and conditioning coach.
Second. Motion by Doug, second by Matt to accept the resignation of Cole Dinsdale as the high school, junior high strength and conditioning coach. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Okay, next item is the,
Motion second.
what's that?
Dave's helping me out.
Sorry. Next item is the personnel appointments. So the first one is for the, school business official and board secretary. So we have a recommendation for hire of Aaron Hirschberger.
Okay, I need clarification because currently his job was exactly what? What was his job right now?
So currently his job was school, it's, school business, I don't remember, essentially he assisted within our inter-office organization, so was doing accounts payable, accounts receivable, logging and data tracking there, and then was, shared with the LRLC to run their payroll and, assist with their accounting practices.
And they were paying him for those hours?
Yes, yeah, they reimbursed us back for $15 per hour, yeah.
Okay.
Do they still need that service?
They do.
They do, okay.
But they will find their own person to do that now?
So right now, we'll currently still continue as they get their new director hired, and Aaron can work with them to determine how much then is still gonna be needed of his time currently. So right now, last year, the maximum use was, at the high time, was about 2 days a week. That slowly started to decrease down to about 1 day per week by the end of the year. And Aaron's feeling like as they get a new director and he can work with them, a lot of those things that he set up through procedures and protocols can then also continue to shift onto their plate too. Because he's got some faster processes and stuff as he's worked to fine tune some.
And we're assisting hiring the director?
We did assist hiring director, so Kara was part of that, yes.
And why?
Because, so we offer, or they are paying her time and material for doing so. And it was just mainly from an HR perspective of facilitating where the posting was at, facilitating gathering the applicants, helping with the interviews, that type of stuff.
So they're paying part of her time too?
They're paying her the whole time for her doing that, yes, yeah.
Okay.
So this is a right contract service on.
And that we have a contract for that time? Like, is that in our 2080 agreement or how is that?
No, it's not. It was just kind of an agreement because this was all of a sudden resignation, just like our SBO, so they were scrambling as well too.
But was she working with it before that or just started working?
Just started.
Just started.
So mainly is to kind of get onto the Iowa Teachers Job Board and assist with that since she knows the ins and outs of it and helping with that.
Ideally, the SBO though wouldn't be assisting with that kind of work.
No.
Eventually, like,
So
the
she's-
end point is the SBO is our SBO.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, the SBO wouldn't be doing that kind of work at all. It should be delegated to maybe a clerk or something at that level.
But let's be clear, there wasn't an SBO doing that.
I correct,
That
yes.
was the,
100% agree.
that was the Dodger position that was doing that.
That is correct.
Director of Human Resources.
Yep.
That we have kind of, until this month, she was 50-50 with us in Grundy, and then now she's 80-20 us.
Okay. Makes sense.
So,
And that's all in her contract? that's all clarified in her contract, those time
We approved
commitments
this,
and.
we approved that
Yeah,
contract.
okay, all
Yes, we approved that 2 months ago, right?
Yep, correct.
Yes.
So to be clear, the intent would be that Aaron, like, as he comes in and as SBO, the intent would be to probably modify or end the 28E agreement to help.
So when we're at a point that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to make sure is that it wouldn't, like, I wanted to get clarity on that.
Is that actually in the 2080 agreement, or is that
So
something?
we have separate.
Separate agreement, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I don't have a necessarily problem helping either Derek or with this, but we have to look at the level of person that's doing that. And in this case, the person here's got a lot of responsibilities to get stuff to us, to get stuff done on time, so it's nice we can have a plan to weed him out of that as we get a, as they get a director. I will move to approve the recommendation for Aaron Hirschberger as the new school business official and board secretary.
Second.
Are we doing all of it?
Oh,
Hires, or?
Let's just do this one first, and then we'll do the other one separate.
I second that.
Motion by Doug, second by Adam to approve the appointment of Aaron Hirschberger as new SBO and board secretary. So yeah, I mean, there is gonna be this odd phase, just like any job transition coming up. I mean, Aaron's currently out on vacation that he had planned before all this, and Christine's last day is tomorrow, so he's back. And then, again, the Little Rebels, so that stuff that he was doing at Little Rebels, they have board members that are kind of picking up the pace right now. That still needs to be figured out, but there is gonna be a transitional piece where, you know, the new director there is not gonna start for a couple weeks, and then, you know, essentially he was kind of like a modified assistant director type-ish thing. And it's all kind of dependent on how that new director, as far as financial stuff like that, if she has the pro-care knowledge, Aaron spent a lot of time developing that. The other thing is like, so he's been in his SBO training, so he's been doing it since October, right? So, I mean, that's where, you know, this recommendation, I think.
And I like what you put together for the whole compensation. I think that's a great way to get him in it. One thing I would caveat to him, down in the discussion here, is I would like to see a timeline to phase this out of that. So if it's October 1st, let's just have a timeline so that both sides, both parties know that as of that date, we will no longer provide that service as a, I don't say it's an expected service. I mean, certainly if they have a question about something, I would hope that they would reach out to us and we can address that. But to have that 16 hours a week of time, we should really try to wean out of that if it's all possible.
Well, I think we definitely have to, because Christine couldn't, you know, she struggled to get everything done. And we're putting a new person in there who doesn't even have that experience. And we're expecting them to learn all that, plus do an additional job. So I think it's unrealistic to expect him to continue doing that when he needs to step in and concentrate on what he's doing for us. I mean, I'm okay with the transition, I know there's a transition time, but I think I agree with Doug that there needs to be.
So I've had conversations with Aaron about that. That was one of his big things of like where he felt his workflow was at the LRC was right now was by next year with the stuff that he had worked on putting in place this year. His ultimate goal was always, I want to work my way out of a job. Like this is my goal. So he's got himself to a place where he's like, it was not going to take, you know, a day a week. It would have been maybe a half a day every couple of weeks just to be able to get all the finance stuff uploaded. But he's got a system and stuff there that I think he's worked hard to develop and stuff through the course of this year.
But I mean, like, I'll say this to one point, just being the representative for the daycare, I mean, it took a lot to develop that into where it is efficient as it is. And that was nowhere near there before. And seeing it both daycare centers, like, administration is a shortfall for the principal. And that's where, you know, they want it just as bad as we do. So, I mean, like, they're going to be struggling with that stuff as well, too. So, you know, it is what it is, and we're gonna go through and figure it out, no doubt about that. We just have to keep recognizing this, is that we do have our community partners that we work with that, you know, they are sometimes in need of stuff like they currently are in, and we have to be available as much as we can. And to your point, we do have to do our normal jobs. You know, we went from 3.8 people in the office now to 3.5 to 2.8 in relatively short manner. So, yeah.
I'm all for supporting them, I just, you know, we just have to, maybe it's a transition of internal knowledge as well, instead of having your SBO be that person. Maybe there's
Yeah,
We still want to spread
Yeah,
it.
and we've had those conversations.
Yeah, I know we chatted about it, but you know, we wanna support both of them, so if there's things we can do to do that, you know, maybe have other staff members that might be able to help out with that, so
we'll have those conversations.
I think this is a great move. My interactions with him have been tremendous, I really enjoyed the few visits I've had with him.
Okay, so we have the original motion by Doug, second by Adam.
Is this just, we're voting on to hire only?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, we have, USBO.
Super.
Okay, next items we'll kind of group together, so we have the appointment of the new high school strength and conditioning coach, with Andrew Billick. We have the, recommendation for the elementary para, Rob Oliver, and then the third one is the at-risk coordinator of, what's the name here?
It'd be Ryan Greenwood, so it's splitting that, right now currently Amber, Geringer has been doing the full-time, she wants to start stepping back from that, so this year we're gonna split it between Ryan Greenwood and her. Within next year, the plans would be that Ryan would take that over and then Amber would step out of that role, so.
So clarification, she's currently our guidance counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is a classroom teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And he will have time to do this at risk? Because isn't sometime that have to be taken care of like immediately?
So
If he's in a
within the
classroom?
at-risk stuff, that wouldn't be doing any like the counseling or things like that, it'd be more of the reporting and working through the programming and supports within the MTSS structure for our at-risk kids. So it'd be more outside of like school day work and things like that for him to complete. And Dan, you can elaborate on that.
When I talked to him about that, it would be an additional supplemental contract to be outside of his normal school hours.
So he'd still be a 100% classroom
Yes.
teacher,
Yes.
everything there, and it's be done whenever he does it after hours.
Yeah, but going forward, that may decide, okay, that he may be a point eight classroom teacher and a point whatever, if that becomes too big. But for right now, you'd get a full classroom teacher, and he just wants more leadership opportunities, and he thought this would be a good opportunity for him to learn, and Amber's like, I wanna train somebody to take this over. Because she's got now 3 kids and wants to.
So, first thing was supplemental, so she'll be 100% guidance counselor, and this is basically the stuff she did.
Yep,
That's
that's
what-
correct. Yep, correct.
But we haven't made the motion yet, but I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve those appointments as presented.
I'll second them.
Oh, he's gotta change it now.
He did it when he did it.
Motion by Doug, second by Amanda, to approve the recommendations as presented, all 3 of them. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, next item is the old business. So we have the approval of the flooring contracts for the elementary. So attached is your flooring quote. So there's some email back and forth about this with a clarification about, what type of materials this was, et cetera, et cetera. So this was something that back a long time ago, we had Buildings and Grounds Committee previously, even when Christine was on the board, we kind of went through and looked at the color palette, material palette, all the stuff there, and kind of went through and talked through the different wears and tears on each of the items there. So there was the high density vinyl stuff. We talked about doing use concrete, we talked about rubber flooring, we talked about, what it is, polish it, upkeep, all that stuff there. So the main thing with the rubber is it has a little bit more memory to it, so if there's scratches, gouges, things like that, is that it can recover a little bit better from it, as opposed to the high density vinyl stuff. If you gouge that, you pretty much have to replace it, and since they're coming in larger tiles, there's a little bit more concerns about replacement. Now with the rubber flooring, it is a little bit higher cost, but then the warranty on it is considerably longer, and then also the care of it, it doesn't need the waxing, it doesn't need that stuff there, so upkeep is supposedly supposed to be
Very
better.
minimal, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of the rationale behind why that one was kind of recommended by the buildings and grounds to proceed forward with, so.
And that's the flooring that's being used in the addition.
And that's the exact same flooring that's being used in addition and the entryways to all the classrooms.
Right, so that area where the foyer going into the classrooms and then the wrap around to where the sink are, there's kind of like a little L, I'd say. That's gonna be all that, as well too. And that's what it is.
Just out of curiosity, because of the amount, do we have to solicit other bids?
So within this, this would have been within the same company and purview that's currently under our contract for the project,
Okay.
so. yeah.
Thank you.
I was curious, one of the colors was burnt umber, isn't that, does that go with everything else?
It's a gray tone is what the.
Oh, it's gray.
Can't call it gray.
Gray with
I don't think the burnt
grayish
umber
tone
is
speckles
gray.
to it,
Do
or,
you?
yeah, it's like rock.
I mean, there was also this amazing rendering where they would, we were going through and selecting all the different colors and they were projecting it up there with classroom items. It was pretty quick.
Cool,
And
okay.
so,
I just thought that was kind of.
It really gave us a whole perspective about how that would look in conjunction with the, I'm gonna call it the carpet tile, which is not carpet, but how that would look and then the different colors and.
if you want, we can go into a lot of detail about the transitions.
No, no.
Cedar tile all the way
No,
down.
no. I just thought that color was interesting.
Here we go. Figure this one out.
And I will say second to that.
I'll beat you to it.
Okay, so we had a motion by Dick, second by Adam to approve the flooring contract as presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? All right, okay. The next item is the approval for the upper cabinet change orders. So I'll kind of talk to this one a little bit. So Caleb had quite a few reviews with teachers about, essentially he did excellent due diligence of going classroom by classroom, having hours of interviews with the teachers and going through. And then this is kind of where that stemmed from, was a lot of feedback from that. So then what this is those added upper cabinets as opposed to doing like the, what was it called? The
Z-wall, or the
Z-wall.
I learned Z-wall or something like that.
So, I mean, even though the Z-wall, we were looking for the modularity of it and moving stuff around, but then that was kind of like a big thing for teachers to push back on, is because it's modular, then it moves unintentionally with students and stuff.
And they took up additional floor space too. That was one of the other comments. And overwhelmingly, they said if we had the choice, we would prefer upper cabinets versus that. And when we got the finalized quote, it came back that those actually would have been more expensive to put in every classroom versus doing upper cabinets. So I thought that was a good.
It's a lot better than what we were gonna put
Yep.
the shelving somewhere as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And those will come when?
So they'll be coming, I believe, within September. So that one is a little, because it's a later change order, they have to custom make those, but the cabinets that we got currently for the lowers and stuff, those all came earlier too, so.
But it says production wouldn't be able to start until September.
Yeah, so that's when they'll get it all submitted, and then that's when they start the production, but, yeah.
Do we know what the turnaround time is for those? Because I just feel like that's gonna be cutting it close. if they're not even gonna start building them until September?
Well, they're not planning on being installed before they move in.
Right, yeah. Before, the original plan was we were gonna install just shelving, like bracket shelving, and that was adjustable and stuff. So, like, I think in talking with some of the teachers that I've followed back up with, understanding, like, the one thing that wouldn't fully be in place yet would be the upper cabinets, but as soon as they're on site, Peters will send a crew to install, and we'll get them out right away. So, I'll follow up with Peters on the projected timeline of that, but.
I was surprised the cabinetry was brown. I thought we were going with all gray.
So, no, most of that cabinetry and stuff is what is matching, like the, doors and things like that. So the desks, we did go with a darker, it's not black, but it's a darker kind of brown tone to it. Just for ease of cleaning and not showing as much wear and tear.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion by Adam, second by Jen to approve the change order for the cabinets, sub cabinets as presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Okay, next one is the school calendar, final draft.
So, followed up with kind of all our vendors, met with painter today, and I'm getting a quote on that. Still feeling and talking with the current vendors, installers, our site and project managers that substantial completion of the 18th is still on track and good to go. The only other thing that kind of came up a little bit that I'd shared with some of you is our unit ventilators, the heating systems. Those got pushed back a week. In talking with Young's today, when I followed up with Jeff, it sounds like the goal is that should be, he's worked with the distributor, Mike has from Young's, so to hopefully get those units on site next week so they can go in, or within the next week there. So that should be moving forward. Paint and ceilings paint's been starting. Iowa Wall's been on site working through that. And then the paint crew, I believe, arrived within the last 2 days to start doing work and prep work for that. And so paint, ceilings, and those types of things will be starting next week as well. So overall, the overall project, as far as scope and everything for completion, is still right on track. Even with some of the hiccups, they felt like they have upstaffed enough to get us back on track and keep the deadline and all that moving in the right direction. The only then caveat that kind of came up was getting information from our furniture supplier. They're continuing to contact the distributors. I followed up with Sue again today. She said they're continuing to contact them on a daily basis to continue to get updates and try to see if they can get things pushed and things like that. I believe our student desks, tables, and chairs though are probably somewhere in the ocean right now on their way here. So their projected arrival time was September 9th. So the tough part for me when I was looking at, whether or not to adjust the calendar or not, is even if we pushed it back a week, we'd still be starting without those. So I don't know if that's necessarily enough to drive that we need to push things back an entire week. I'm working on contingency plans. I've reached out to Sue, see if they have ideas and stuff from a furniture perspective, but otherwise we can also work on either renting tables and chairs or something like that for the very start. But then once those arrive on site, we do have a crew that's doing the install through the furniture company, so that's not going to be our staff that then is having to put those all together and stuff. So they'll be able to be on site and assemble those for us once they start arriving.
That arrival time, is that to port or is that to?
That's to the facility, so to the site. So I'm hoping once they arrive stateside that then they can expedite some things a little bit quicker and get them here faster. So I'll continue to keep the pressure on them for that. With that, the only other thing that has come up that is unrelated to our facility project but is a result of some legislation that was passed that I'm trying to work on with Sean and our leadership team is the new physical activity bill. So it's the MAHA bill. That's the bill that roped in the screen time and stuff, limitations and things like that for kids. They also added a component where all kindergarten through 4th graders are required to have 40 minutes of physical activity a day. We have to be able to show that in some way, shape, or form within our daily schedule. Now, some of that can be done just by doing, movement in the classroom or movement to specials and things like that. You can account for that time, but you have to be able to specify. I know when I'll be reporting with our desk audit this year, this will likely be one of the things that we have to report on how we're meeting that new legislative requirement. But one of the biggest issues was within 4th grade, we want to really try to protect our academic time, and they currently have 1 recess a day. So we're trying to look at how we could, get some additional time and stuff within that. With our buses and arrival times and stuff there, and looking at kind of what we've done in the past, one of my things that I looked at in my previous district, we ran into some of these issues as well. We added 5 minutes to the beginning of the school day and started 5 minutes earlier. By doing that, we then started every day with a recess. So once students came to the building and they, started they went and got their breakfast and things like that, they then would transition outside for recess. The bell would ring at 8:10, and then 8:15 bell would ring, and that's when they would come inside and transition into the academic side of school. That allowed us, just to get that extra 5 minutes that we can count as recess. Now, a lot of the kids got a little bit more physical activity in the morning because they were there a little bit longer and things like that too. But we actually saw a decrease in behaviors because kids were coming in with their brains already engaged and things like that. So that was a thing that I had thrown out to our leadership team as an idea, and that's where, so within my recommendation is it's not amending the calendar from a standpoint of moving the date back, but it would be amending the school start time to 8:10 as opposed to 8:15. So the other option would be you could always flip it to the back end of the day and have the school day end at 3:25 versus 3:20 as well. So.
Well, we used to have the recess beforehand, and I can tell you that we had a lot of issues with it. Number one, the town kids would come way early before we had supervision out there, and you have to provide supervision, so you're having a parent having to go out there and watch them. When it's cold, you can't. They're out there, they're freezing to death, and you have that issue, because we can't bring them in any gym, because our gym is our lunchroom. And we had a lot of behavioral issues with so many kids on the playground at one time that we were having conflicts and taunting and all kinds of things, because you had one pair out there supervising them all. So if we're going to do that in the morning.
Yeah, we would need increased supervision. You can't have, we're not gonna have one out there.
So.
What do you do when it rains? You can't be outside. I mean, I get why you gotta do this, but.
But we're doing all of this because of one class. How about we just give them the extra recess?
Or increase the recess they have by 5 minutes. I don't know.
Not my class.
It's 4th grade.
So 4th grade is the primary.
That's the only grade that's
That's
the
the
problem.
MAHA thing at the moment.
Well, it goes up for, it's
All the rest already meet
Yeah,
that
already
time.
did. I see.
So kindergarten has 3 recesses, 1st grade has 3 recesses, 2nd and 3rd have 2, right? And then 4th grade has 1, 5th,
so 4th grade
through 6th.
is modeled more like, 5th and 6th.
So yeah, I mean, I would say like, as opposed to starting, you're just kind of, just having the 4th grade just do 5 minutes longer instead of imposing it on the rest of the school. I mean, like, counter argument to it is the density of the kids out on the playground used to be a lot higher than what it is now. And, half the playground is utilized, and we used to have 2 recesses going on, or the recesses going on were both upper and lower were
You go
utilized.
out and watch it.
What I'm saying is one supervisor for all that is not wasn't ever the case back when there was a lot more students, there was more supervision out there. So I mean, I would say like, let's utilize the paras to.
A lot of them aren't there at that time.
No, I'm not saying the more, I'm not saying, I'm not a proponent of.
Oh, you're just saying,
I'm saying for.
It's not a problem because
It's like
recesses are
recesses.
staggered, you don't have them all at one time for the recesses.
I would be inclined to just extend the recess 5 minutes. But then to disturb the rest of the school, you know, we start classes earlier because that means people are gonna be here earlier. I just,
I mean, I totally get the kids coming early, like if you did the morning, Jen's absolutely right, as far as for breakfast, you have 30 kids standing out there and there's nobody to supervise them and they're ready to eat that breakfast, right when the doors open. So like, it would be a supervision nightmare if you did it early.
And I don't know if we need something for support from the board, but we have students that are coming at 7:20. There are kids out there.
That just needs to be an email to the parents.
They're contacted. I mean, I think that's a continual problem too, is that they don't have daycare, so they leave the kids, and then the kids report at home, so they just come. So that's another whole thing. And also with the furniture, so I understand not starting, not changing the start time, but you're going to bring them in with no place to put their stuff. You're gonna have a bunch of tables there. Is that really how we wanna start the school year with them? I mean, I know we have to be flexible, but I'm just thinking teachers are trying to get everything organized. You're throwing a few chairs in there and a couple tables and say, go at it. And then 2 weeks later, you say, well, get all of this and all the kids' stuff out of here so that these people can put desks together to put them in there. So it's kind of a frustrating thing, and I think as a board, we were kind of remiss not to get this approved earlier when we knew the desks that we were gonna order clear back in, well, we knew we were gonna use the same ones that we got for the 4th grade. And then we waited till June to approve them. So as a board, I think we were a little
Well, the board was also pushing back quite a bit on what was being ordered as well too, if you remember that correctly. So I'm gonna kind of pause you there for a second, is there was pushback from the board of what specifically was being ordered, to which that also caused a little bit of delay of getting that ordered.
I don't think that
We kind of
conversation
created
was
the
what
situation as
delayed
well too, a little bit ourselves by delaying that.
I don't think that
process.
conversation is what related.
So at any rate, the other thing that I would also ask them that is what penalties do they have? Because if they were selling that lead time of it being theirs, what are they gonna be, how are they gonna be hurting if they're hurting our public?
Are they going to pay for a direct truck when it gets to the ocean port? Are they gonna be paying for the expedite, like labor or increased labor to get them built?
Or are they gonna be paying for the rental of the stuff, or basically taking chairs from a different job, putting them in our school for a couple weeks and then moving it to the job that they have later on or something like that?
I guess we gotta go back to the original quote and see what was spelled out in the quote, because it says it would be here on this date, and now they're saying there isn't. We agreed to buy it under that pretense.
Right.
It would be here, and there is a penalty they should pay. I don't have that up in front of me, and I'm not gonna go back and look, but I think we should look at that quote and see if we approve that quote that says they would have it in there prior to the start of school. Now they're saying, no, it's on them, they need to get it.
Well, we approved 8 weeks. This is what
From
it was.
time of order?
Yeah.
Question, are we selling a bunch of stuff right now? Could we use it?
So that's the one thing. So kind of to, Jen's point of, I'm understanding like there are gonna be other things that we have to look at doing and structuring so that kids have places to put stuff, that, there's organization that is easier to transfer into their desk and those types of things once the school year starts. Because the other thing is, we could pull old desks and put them back in, but now we're having to pull old desks back out and then reshuffle all the student materials and stuff. So like those are some of the other things that I'm working through from a logistical standpoint of, one of my things that I'm following up on is like, would our student trays be on site? So at least we could assign a student tray to each individual student, so that as soon as the desk is assembled, the tray goes right into the desk, and that's not an extra transition piece. So those are the things that I'm working through right now too. So I'm problem solving with.
Well, where will they put the trays?
So, I mean, every high school classroom doesn't have a single tote. The kids carry their tray or carry their stuff with them. In this case, I'd say they can have their tray under their chair or under the table and stuff as well, so. I'm not at all arguing or saying that that is a perfect situation or a good situation at all. I'm just saying.
But it sounds like there's gonna be some moving around no matter what happens.
Exactly.
And that it's also not all clear yet about what's gonna happen, but we are selling stuff. It could be useful, at least temporarily. I don't know if that means anything or not, folks, but.
Yeah, I actually like the idea of reusing the stuff that we have. It just makes it a more comfortable thing. It's not a huge lift. We're gonna own a pod, we can put it in there and resell again or just scrap it. I'm back to if it was 8 weeks, they really need to come up with some compensation for us here.
Or if they wanna move it all in, do some stuff too.
Well, they are moving it all.
Yeah.
The whole thing is moving the stuff out that we have to move in that we weren't planning on moving in.
Right.
That's the staff and material and time on doing all that.
And there's a cost of doing it as well, but, I think it's just a bad deal that we bought it under an 8-week pretense and now they're adding some time to that and,
I'd be interested to see what we sign with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing that, move forward.
Yeah. I don't like the idea of pulling in tables and chairs because now you've got, well, it's a table and chairs for a kindergartner and you know, it's just, I don't know how you do that, so. But the desks, you already kind of know.
So if we circle back to the question at hand, is pushing things back, we don't think it's gonna be impacting anything. I mean, it's not gonna make a difference really, because it's gonna come after it, so the kids are gonna be in school 2 weeks. With that, the other question I have with so is it just the heating or is it the heating and cooling units?
Just the heating units, so, no, rooftop, I believe the big main rooftop now, is already there, and on site, and then, actually, I think they both are, so, the kitchen area and stuff.
Is it the part that goes in the rooms they
Yeah,
aren't gonna have?
mhm.
Well, but they'll be here
They'll
before
be
school
here,
starts.
it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that part will be done, and they
Yeah,
may still have to
next
tweak.
week, you said.
yeah, that's the current projected timeline is that they're.
That, to me, that doesn't impact the classroom being ready, it's just a little bit behind. I was thinking early on about let's just move this back and I don't get rid of spring break, but to your point, if you moved it back 1 week, you're still gonna be starting school,
Just a few days, not.
with just a few days of,
5 days you'd have, say.
yeah, assuming that it's here on the 9th, that's the big assumption. And the way things are today, who knows?
And if you keep pushing it back, eventually you're gonna be middle of June.
I don't wanna get out any later than what we normally do, so.
We pushed it back and we added 5 minutes to the day, front end or back end or both.
I really don't like that.
But that's where, if we did that, we would still have cushion of days remaining, we wouldn't have to add additional days, we'd still be able to get out on time.
I'm saying if you kept pushing it back to.
Yeah, so
Second
wait
week
until.
of, second week of September.
Correct, then we would have to extend out farther.
I think you need to find out if they can give you a better timeline, but we need to have a plan either to reuse the desks that we have. We line up help to get them in there, and to get them out again. Yeah, you're not gonna sell them at your auction, but I doubt they're probably gonna sell all that great.
A bunch of them.
That's it.
Oh, really?
I was gonna say
We have some.
I worked there 3 hours today,
Oh, we got a
by
pretty-
Central City, by.
Actually,
Okay.
Yeah, quite a few of them are gone.
we've been getting good amounts for them, so.
Well, we're gonna need a plan B, and I don't know what that is, and, my suspicion is your trays will come with the desk, you won't get them early, so.
The trays are very covered.
I think actually the trays are scheduled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
So, yeah. I don't like the idea of extending the day 5 minutes, because now you break that up and make it useful time. It's just, to me, it's a paperwork thing, but, I think what I'm hearing is we're gonna start school on the 31st regardless of whether we have those desks or not, and you'll have a plan to deal with it.
And I think that's the
That's my
task, is
current-
make
yeah,
sure
that's
that
my
it's
current.
not chaotic for those kids, like make it as unobtrusive as possible, because I do agree that that's not exactly a great way to start off the school year, is if you're in a massive amount of chaos, like it needs to be.
And open house is already the 25th.
Yeah, that may have to get delayed.
Kids will be a lot better than you know.
I just think we need to have a solid communication plan to get to people sooner than later about this is what you can expect. It was a delay. Whether we could have changed something to make it better or not, it's a delay. We still have to endure it. And staff, parents, students need to know, don't bring, 300 colors, bring 5 and, so. And just keep it starting the 31st. I just pushing it back, you're still at the mercy of, okay, we gotta.
So, let me kind of probe some questions this way to kind of formulate. So what is gonna be open as far as the build come, I would say, any week after when the build ready date is gonna be?
Yeah, August 18th with that, that's when virtually the building should be open to be able to start moving stuff back in.
No, so I'm specifically asking about the items that you had sent us an email about, so i.e. painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the cabinet situation, so you're gonna have open stuff in the rooms. It's not gonna be finished, this, that, and the other. The painting of the ceramic tiles. Do we have somebody that can do that?
Yep, so I met with Justin Farley today, who's getting us a quote for that, and he felt the timeline would work in that. Be able to have it done before the school started.
And your person from Cresco, then
So,
the guys that painted the gym?
I'm getting the quote from Justin first, and then I can reach out to them as well, and see, but,
Okay.
so.
Because I mean, this was kind of what we drew the line in the sand as our decision point of if it's gonna be. So the other thing is, to Amanda's point, is if we have all this unfinished things, yeah, the project manager is always gonna tell you he's on time. That's what a project manager does, is they tell you you're on time. And then a week before you're not on time, you're not on time. And so then what do you do from there? That's where, do you feel confident that the progress that was made from last week, when we showed that night to this week, is significant enough to continue to say that we are going to have very little disruption to any of the things that are going through the school?
Yeah, so long, this week, I don't, see, I'm trying to walk through the building again today.
They were actually painting in there though.
Yeah, as I say,
They were painting the walls
Mhm.
that were there.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think that part is gonna be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I think
I was pleased.
classrooms for sure are gonna be 100% done. In flooring, like I said, he said that he felt like he's got the staffing and crew able to knock that out. And then painting would follow in right behind them or before them, depending on when we get that timeline where the flooring people are at with the classrooms. I think everything that I've talked to from every trade, every entity and stuff, everything's on track right now. So using the information I have currently, I think everything would be hitting the target of substantial completion date, so.
Okay.
But,
So then,
with the exception of furniture.
and I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here a little bit, so let's say we don't get anything back from the furniture.
Mhm.
What's your level?
So, sorry, say that again,
What's your levels, so you sold a significant amount of furniture, so stuff we had on hand we don't now.
So, we'd be looking at, we could look to utilize what we currently have not sold, which there's still some decent amounts.
So, like percentage wise of classrooms that you could fill that back up with? 60% of the classrooms? So you have fourth grade, so you have one grade level covered with new furniture, so you're fine there. But then what you sold, minus what you sold, how many classrooms percentage wise?
I would say 50%,
Okay,
probably at least.
okay. So then, if you were to just estimate what you would do as far as getting stuff in there, how would you go about it?
Yeah, so I'd be reaching out to Sue to find out what are our options from like borrowing or renting additional like student appropriate furniture, so like student height tables and things like that, and working to get her to assist in developing that plan to get some of those things on site and ready to go, whether that's taken from the showroom or whatever we have to do there. So that we can at least have, you know, because that's the other big thing, like heights of tables and things like that, would be something we'd have to look at. I think, chairs wise, we've sold more desks than we have like student sized chairs and stuff too. So in the chairs, it did say that we're looking like they may be a little bit ahead of schedule compared to the desks and the tables. So yeah, so I'd be working with her to develop that plan of what we need to do to kind of counteract that.
Local churches.
Yeah, yeah, we could look at it.
Sunday schools.
Mhm.
Also, the emphasis should be on minimizing the cost to us due to the delay.
Assuming that was in
Yep.
the
The
agreement.
cost and effort.
So I would, you know, I mean, you could equip one classroom and stuff, but I'm relying on you to come up with that whole plan. Just, the other thing that really kind of bugs me is we're just not getting quotes for painting. I mean, we know we're gonna have to paint for a long time, and I'm concerned about getting it done. So I would hope that by the end of business day tomorrow, we have quotes that you can approve, if they're within your purview, or whatever we need to do to get that done. I don't wanna wait till next month's meeting, or have to have a special meeting to get it done, because we know we've had to paint for quite a while. And then lastly, with the additional cabinets that we approved that change order, they put them in after hours. And
Yeah,
during the
yeah.
school day.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't see that in that, but maybe I missed it, so.
No, they would come in either on weekend or after hours.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, okay, kind of circling back, to disruption there and starting. Cause there's a lot of parents that are really anxious about the start date. Daycare and all that stuff there. So right now you think we have 50% of the classrooms covered, and then we go out there and start soliciting a bunch of, I would say, empty education wings and all these churches around here. See if we could get maybe some of that stuff, or primary source would be, see what they could do, all that stuff there. So I would say, like, if you could please put together that plan, regardless of what we approve here in a second, by Wednesday next week.
Yep.
So then that way we can just have a little bit more confidence. And then I would also put a hold on any of the desks that you have for sale, just to make sure that you're covered. Unless anyone disagrees. I mean, it kind of sucks that they want to throw away, but.
Anything useful.
I think our big desk purchasers are done now, so we should be.
I just think that once we have this and you know your plan, I think we need somebody, or whoever buildings and grounds needs to approve that, but we need to get communication out to parents, staff. Again,
This is what to expect.
Exactly. And here's what we're doing to make this the best it can be at this point. And just be frank up front when we approve the change order, the cabinets, while it doesn't impact the actual education, it does impact the aesthetics of the room, and those will be done after hours.
And those pods will stay there until we get the cabinets in and everything, right? And those teachers are not gonna drag all their stuff into no cabinets.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's gonna be other storage and stuff that's also provided,
Okay.
so.
But that's gonna be tough when you need all that parking.
Yep.
Yeah, well.
But you might be able to get rid of one or two.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't wanna handle
we'll
it
be
just
able to,
like-
we'll be able to reduce and downsize some of the pods, but we'll also have significantly more storage within the facility and stuff as well, and then we'll be able to.
But not on day one.
Be close, so within where the new storage rooms are going, that's part of the integral building, that's not part, it's connected to the addition, but it's not, like, a lot of that should be finished by then, so it's already drywalled and that stuff, so.
I'll make approval to start at the suggested time that you noted, I think it was August 31st.
Okay.
The date, not
The date, not the time.
August 31st.
Actually, we've already approved.
Yeah, we've already approved this, we need to take action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This was just our drop dead date if we needed to change it.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
So, back to the start time, you'll just, with
We'll
the
figure
extra
it out,
5
yep,
minutes,
yep,
you'll just.
we'll work within the school day, and I know Sean's been coming up with ideas and stuff for that, so.
Think that'll work?
Yeah, we actually finalized it at the pool. But I think
It's good. Somehow
It's his office outside. In lieu of having an office.
I mean, in other news, I mean, like, if you look at, like, all our neighbors that had similar projects to this, they all had significant work going on during the start of it. So this isn't like an unseen territory, oh my God, the sky's falling. This is kind of, I just want to kind of remind everybody that Dyke went through significantly when they did their remodel. I mean, they had a lot of displacement. This is things that go on a project with this big, and we're probably going to experience it with high school as well too. So like, there's lessons learned that we're gonna incorporate and move forward with it, but like, you know.
I think the tough part is, normally, I would say the furniture side of it would not be the whole up, which is, it's a very good thing that construction-wise, that has, even with some of the issues we've experienced, that has stayed on track as much as it is. I don't know too many of those projects when they had to tear out about 90% of the walls in the building and redo about 70% of the plumbing in the building, that they still stayed on target as much as we are. So that is big kudos to Peters and all their subcontractors and stuff for stepping up and keeping it as close to that timeline as possible. So that is awesome. But
Okay, the horse has been beaten on the schedule, so we will take no action on that one, because we're just continuing on there. But yeah, just keep us in the loop, and then, if you wanna put together a little, like, per what Doug said, just put together a little newsletter for the community as to what to expect.
It necessarily needs to go out in the mail.
yeah, no, this one I'll just post. Yeah, this one I'll just
I would post it if we send a blurb out via JMC, that's a freebie.
Okay, so next is on to new business, and Coach Olson walked in. Luckily, we delayed the meeting and spent a lot of time talking about other things, so now you come in right at the right time to talk about the logo.
Want me to just talk?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. I'll give you a 5-minute history lesson. Really learn some new people. And I promise I won't go under 5 minutes. I'm gonna talk in generalities. So I'm off by a year. Okay? So, 1987-ish, 1988, that's when we started playing sports together. At that time, Gladbrook-Reinbeck got together, had a big vote. You guys know that way better than I wasn't here, and decided to go with Gladbrook-Reinbeck Rebels name. And so they kind of came together. They voted on, I don't know if they voted, as soon as they came up with the Rebels, they came up with the mascot, logo, the word logo really wasn't something that schools talked about. Just like, hey, we're the Rebels, nicknames, that kind of stuff. And we obviously, over time, the actual mascot itself, he's changed a lot, okay? He was wearing this color, this soldier outfit, this kind of outfit, he had no legs one time, he flew one time, he had a different mustache, a different hat, a lot of different types of things, okay? And we had a student trait one time for like 2 or 3 years, there's a lot of different types of things back and forth. I don't remember exactly when it was, but somewhere around 2005 to 2010, we kind of settled in on, hey, that's a good drawing that our teacher made or whatever, let's just go with that. Okay, and that's the one that you kind of see more likely from like 2005, 2010 starting to about 2015-ish, something like that. Well, 2014 comes along, and we went to Delman football, and we had a lot of phone calls for me, or the Des Moines Register contacted me, other places contacted me about why our Rebels is our name. Well, that's what we've been, I told the story, like, well, it kind of supporting Confederate soldiers, some of those kind of things, and had all this different conversation. But to be honest with you, at that time in my life, I was like, I never considered that. Me being naive or whatever it is, okay? So we got a lot of these phone calls or a lot of these things, and it's hard to explain that. So I came to the school board at some point in time, maybe 2014 to 2018-ish, something like that, and just said, it's not our intention to have that person showcase our school district, plus it's not what we think as a community, so maybe it's time for us not to have that particular mascot, okay? So we went through the issue of kind of changing the mascot. So if he was on a poster, or if he was on a letterhead, if he was on the website, wherever he happened to be at, we either got rid of him, or the next time you order a t-shirt, you didn't have him on there anymore, so the mascot itself just went away. Didn't really have a mascot. We're still called Rebels as a nickname, but we don't really have a mascot, per se. In the meantime, a couple years before that, 2012, we went to this GR store that I got right here. We just basically paid the guy $100 a long time ago, so I went on football on it, 2010. That's really the base of it. And then people saw that, they kind of liked it. Oh, can I put that on a t-shirt? Can I do this? You know, that's kind of how it basically went. And then 2014-15, you know, we made state, we won state, different sports. This kind of took over just by just gradually taking over. And so then when the mascot thing kind of went away, then we didn't have a mascot, so then we just kind of encouraged everybody to have this GR sword. Gladbrook-Reinbeck, the building was shut down, we tried to bring everything together, let's do one thing, just boom, so it went with that, okay? So over time, that's kind of what happened. I would say in the last, make up a number, 3 or 4 or 5 years, we've got little kids, teachers, new people in the community. What's our mascot? We don't have one. Okay, so then I know when Eric Smith was here, talked to about it a couple years ago. We haven't gone in depth with it, at least not on my end, it's not the high school anymore. But we just talked about, well, let's get some branding together. Let's do things the same way. Let's have the same color. Well, we've always kind of done that, but we haven't really like made it, you have to do that or anything like that. And there's really just been one athletic director, or there's just been one principal, so we just kind of made a pact. Hey, let's do this. And the Booster Club's like, hey, let's do this, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where we're at. Just to understand the difference between like a logo and a mascot, I'm not going to try to get into the English here because I don't know exactly, I'm a PE teacher. But a logo is something that's pretty much, hey, you see that, that's AP, that's a logo. Or you see that, it's the Nike swoosh, that's a logo, okay? So it's kind of the word that we've been using when you see the GR sword, that's the logo, okay? Then you have places that have a mascot on top of it. You know, you've got the Wapsie Valley, they got a WV, that's their logo, but they also have Warriors, so they have a different mascot for that, or nicknames on the wall and things like that. So that's kind of what we're missing, okay? So we talked to a business teacher, Krista Snyder, and she's last year a little bit, but just at the end of the year this year, she talked about maybe next year, not maybe next year, but we are going to next year. We just haven't dotted all the I's and crossed the T's, but try to get back to what we did in 1987. Okay, we were missing a mascot for a long time. What should we do about that? Okay, who should we involve? Should it just be Dan's decision? Or should it be like everybody's decision? Well, if you ask 2,000 people, guess what? It's going to take a long time to do it. So how do we do that? How do we manage it? Haven't gone into any depth about that at all. It's kind of just a talking point, but I do think that's something that realistically at the end of a year, throw on a number, that you can probably get to. Where the communities, everybody's like, this is our mascot. We have to be careful with the fact that it is kind of forever. You don't want to have a mascot talk every year. You know, you want to kind of get that one thing that symbolizes, you know, the mascot, not necessarily the logo. So that's kind of where we're at. How that ties into like specifically why I'm here tonight is it's probably been about 4 or 5 years that we've been really upgrading the gym, the upper gym. We kind of knew that 5 years ago, we probably aren't going to get into high school. And if we do get into high school, we're probably not going to get a new gym. So let's just make sure we keep this gym as awesome as we can. 2015, we did Hall of Champions. We got new lighting in the gym, painted the ceiling, we did the floor. And so kind of the last thing to go was to do the walls. And honestly, the Rebel guy was on the wall for a long time. So I mean, it's been 10 years that he's been on that wall. And so we finally painted the gym now, and so he's gone. And so then on the home side, one of the details of the home side, it's a blue wall there now, getting in there. And it will say Rebel Nation on it. So it's not necessarily a logo, it's not a mascot, it doesn't say Rebels. We've been known as Rebel Nation for a long time. You see that all the time in places, so it's just a big font, Rebel Nation. And so then all the blues in there, all the grays in there, they're the same Pantone color number. Now, the thing that's strange about that, you will walk in there and be like, well, that blue isn't exactly like that blue. Well, that's, not to get all the details, it's kind of boring, but when you put it on wood, and you put it on a banner, and you put it on a concrete wall, and you put wax on the floor on top of it, and then you have different lighting and different materials and fabrics, it's just, it ends up looking a little bit different. Especially when you have bleachers in there that were, I don't know what years those were, 2005 maybe. So it's a tiny bit different, but the general concept is we're trying to stay the same everywhere we do things. I do think it's important when you go to the next new building, that yeah, it should be the same. I mean, it just makes sense if someone's going to put pink in a place, it should be the same color pink, you know what I mean? So those are some things I think you need to like look at, how fast you solve them, or how quickly you solve them, or when you solve them. That's kind of, part of the next year's plan. Generally speaking, the other reason I'm here today is because I have talked either Eric Smith or Ron Jordan, and we can talk to people here too about that GR sword. We did get rid of the rebel guy, and the plan is to put him on the wall. Not him on the wall, put the GR sword on the wall. We do have it in the middle of the gym already, plus it's over 200 times just in the gym and other spots, and all the way, all the champions, on websites, pretty much everywhere. Is it approved? I have no idea. Does other places have things approved? I have no idea. I just know it's been accepted, and we do it, and if we don't want to, we should probably do something about it, but I do think it's something that's, I don't know, I'm open to ideas, suggestions. I mean, it is just a logo, but it's kind of important. But at the same time, you guys got a lot bigger decisions than what color blue to put on a wall too. So I just want to be open and honest and upfront with you guys and kind of tell you, that's the quick history lesson, that's kind of where we're at.
So you're suggesting put the branding in policy?
I'm not, I'm suggesting that someone smarter than me decides to do that. Because I don't even know what that means.
You're really asking for approval to get something painted, that's it, right?
Like, I don't even know if like approval is the right word, because I'm just me. I just think, I guess if I'm being totally like upfront and honest, like I think I could have just painted the GR sword on the wall and not told anybody about it. And people are gonna be mad and people are gonna be excited about it. But I don't think that's the right thing to do. Because I knew that there is a little bit of contention, not because it's a GR sword, not because it's this, not because of whatever, it's just like, I've kind of taken over a little bit of a lot of the projects that we do in the athletics side of it, And I don't want this to be a John Olson thing, I want this to be a school thing. Now, there does need to be a leader for those things, and I'm happy to do those things. I'm also the junior high athletic director, I also have a family and other things, which is why I'm a junior high athletic director, not a high school athletic director, so I don't want to step anybody's toes, but I do like helping, I like doing projects, so I try to get that stuff done. So, to answer your question, I have a great way to say it, but yeah, I think it'd be cool if you approval or sure, go ahead, I don't know how that all works.
Two things in my head. One is approval for the estimate that you have here, which I think you have. In terms of logos or branding, just a thought, just from previous experience in different places. Whenever we had a city that would rebrand their logo, it wasn't as maybe controversial, but rather than that being a discussion that was like just on John, right, that he had to worry about, that was a community conversation and brought a group of community members together to really kind of hash out what some different options might be and get the pulse of the community, because it does represent not just our district, but it does represent hugely our community writ large. And so if my only suggestion, as a suggestion, would be to involve community members in that conversation. And I don't know what that looks like, but it's a big enough decision that I agree with John that it shouldn't necessarily just be on his shoulders to come up with something. If that's what you're looking for, some feedback, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and just more of an explanation too, of kind of the history of it.
Yeah, no, super helpful.
Another part of explanation of the history of it, I think Donovan a year ago said this in one of the meetings, and I kind of looked at maybe 2 years ago, and it wasn't. So before we passed the new building, we were under the impression that, hey, if this doesn't pass, we've got an old building here. We really got to help each other out. And to be honest with you, the Booster Club does a fantastic job. Okay? For our size school, we have a lot of people out there that donate money to our Booster Club. And we spend a lot of money on our kids because our number one goal is, if you're going to donate money to the Booster Club, what are you going to do to help that kid be successful? Well, we also do very well in sports. I'm not just talking wins, I'm talking about like bringing in revenue. So we're self-sufficient. So not only that, I haven't looked at it this year yet, but I'm sure we're where we've always been. We're at least $8,000 to $15,000 in plus. There's a lot of schools that are out there that are the complete opposite at best. So like, it's, we do really well is what I'm saying, okay? So, so we don't, the Booster Club doesn't fix ceilings, okay? We don't like fix the plumbing, but sometimes that's where a lot of the money's at. So historically in the past, the school would do some, maybe they would do the irrigation for a football field, or maybe they would put a field goal post, or maybe they would do the pebble levy, would be put money towards basketball hoop. Okay, that was school money, not athletic money. Well, when the school needs more money to fix ceilings and fix the toilet, instead of them spending the money on the athletics, okay, they can go back to spending their money on what they really should be spending on. And our Booster Club and our athletic department can help fund those things that are directly related to athletic, even though technically, like, putting up a banner might not make that kid better, okay, but it's motivating, you can argue that, have banners on the wall. The reason I bring that up is the quote I think you've seen in front of you is $315 or something like that, or $50, whatever it is. So that's athletic department money, okay, and or booster club money. So yes, the athletic department money is through the school, but that money that comes into us is revenue from us, or fundraising that we've done. So it is public giving us money, not getting money from the state necessarily, from the public funds, it's directly coming to us. So I feel like as athletic director and passing it through the right chain of commands, we can still spend that athletic director money. We're not gonna spend that on books or ceilings, but we're gonna spend it on the other stuff, so the school can save the money and go other directions with it. So that's really what I'm just here to explain to everybody, so hear one message.
Okay, so the estimate, where is that painting to take place? Around the gym or?
So that, the logo would go right where the Rebel guy was before. So if you walk into the gym and go towards the, battle direction
East wall.
Go to the east wall. So on the visit, look at these walls, right on the east wall on the right side.
Okay, so then you've kind of commissioned Carissa to consider coming up with a new mascot?
Well, me and her just talked. I don't want to say I put her in charge,
Okay.
it's not my role, but
But
we
if
talked
we-
like, hey, what can we do here to involve the community? But put a timeline on it,
But if
because
we're
sometimes it's less.
potentially change, do we want to paint something
Well-
on now that?
Well, that would be the difference of kind of at the beginning. So you got a logo and you got a mascot. So the mascot is the guy, your role.
So
Design.
maybe as a school, we should have an official logo and
I think that's been talked about for years. We've been gonna have a communications committee drive that, to come up with what are the school pantones, what is the logo, what is, quote, the mascot? What does our letterhead look like? Here's what your signatures should look like in your emails. So it's a consistent brand, as somebody mentioned earlier, that we have this as our brand. That's never really happened. And I think we mentioned a couple times over the last year that we need to get that group going on this so that we can say, whether it's in policy or it's in this handbook, that when you want to do like a piece of letterhead, this is what it must contain. Here's the colors, here's the logo.
And I have nothing against the GR sword, I see it a lot, but I think it's fine. We haven't had any complaints against it, have we?
I mean, people from 30 years ago don't like it as much as people from yesterday like it, but I don't like stuff that's from 30 years ago I did today either, so.
And is this estimate still valid? It's
Yeah.
fair
So
play.
can I ask why we just didn't have it painted when we spent money to paint the gym?
Have what thing, sorry?
Why you didn't paint the logo up there when we had the gym painted initially?
Like it's just for people that are gym.
So our contractor then couldn't put it on, is what you're saying?
Well, there's a couple different ways. I can't just answer yes. I feel like I'm answering the way some of our politics do. Foolish. But like, the person who painted our gym does not do graphics.
That's fair enough.
Okay,
That's
so
all I
that-
need to
we
know.
could have hired somebody else that did both.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a different option. However, when we want to try to minimize where we're pulling the money from, it makes more sense logically for a booster club to pay for the wants instead of the needs. So that's what kind of my philosophy always is. So I want a logo on the wall, I don't need a logo on the wall. Okay, so when I think of things that way, if I go through all the sports, it's actually pretty easy to think about that. Like I want warm-ups for basketball, I don't need them, but I need uniforms. So those, it's kind of the same thing. So we want something on the wall, it makes more sense to say, hey, it's a design, it's a banner. School shouldn't need to pay for that stuff. So that's the answer to that question for you, that's why. And we can move forward with Revelation, that's a different quote, it's a little bit different, so there's not a great answer. That's how it works.
Well, yeah, there's not, because I mean, like, so, there is kind of the blurring of the lines, because I mean, like, it's somewhere like the gym or any sports facilities thing, that is the visualization of the school to the public eye, right? And so like, where we did like, the Booster Club did the addition to the, baseball for the items there, well, members of the public go through and say, well, the school spend the money on this, or they should be spending it somewhere else. So that's where, like, we also need to have better communication between us and the Booster Club about aesthetics, of what that looks like. We know that you're buying that, but then does the general public know that that's the
Agreed.
case, right?
Yep, I agree.
And so then the other thing is kind of going back to the vessel of how we do this, agree with you 100%. Have a committee do all this, but then there's the vessel of how we continue it forward. That's where it comes into policy, and that's where I think we need to get just whatever is currently the state, we start with that, get that into a policy where it's at, and then continue. If we wanna change it, then we do the, stuff, just like you're saying with Chris said, go through and do that. But I mean, I think we do, I'm not gonna challenge the board on this, is like, I almost think that we need to have more representation in the athletic boosters. So then that way we can communicate clearly of like, okay, if you're doing this, this is where the blurred lines come up. And we need to be very transparent about, you know, okay, if we're doing this, it is private donations for the athletic department. We have private donations to the fine arts, we have private donations to the FFA. We have a huge amount of involvement of the community members in all these organizations. And it is a very blurred line of what public tax dollars is covering versus these specific organizations, right?
Yeah, totally agree.
And so that's where, like, I think we need to go back and challenge ourselves of like, do we have to have somebody in those meetings or at least go quarterly to like, hey, what's your facilities projects? Janelle Bolt and I had kind of a conversation at that like boosters banquet where it was kind of like, how do we get that going? And I think it's something that needs to be revived and then challenge us to get more involved with it, so then that way they know where we're at, we know where they're at, and then make sure that the communication plan out to the public is crisp.
I would agree with you about that representation. Maybe you need to have it with not only, if we have one for fine arts or anything like that, but we have committee members that go to all these little things, and maybe you need to have a committee member that is the fine arts representative, the sports booster, and now we're just adding more nights to our already busy schedules, but that's one way to force some of that representation.
Do you have subcommittees, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Do
speaking.
you already have a communication subcommittee? Because the word, pick which word you want, right? But instead of having a booster club and this and that, the communication thing, that committee could just be, make sure we communicate stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas for you.
Yeah.
I think you volunteered.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know about the flip side either of like, do we kind of have that enveloped into the activities director's report of just saying, hey, this is, you know, I mean, really technically activities directors covers all those caveats, right?
Yep.
So then, you know, do they put some synopsis of like, oh, these are what these private entities
Could
are
be
doing?
something that simple. I've made many mistakes, but that is what I did from 2010 to like 2020 something, because I put that at the bottom. Projects ongoing, I always listed at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And then somebody's like, oh, you forgot that, cool, I'll add it in there, you know what I mean? But, you know, I think Doug said something about, well, you're the activities director too. Yeah, oh, yep, I gotta put the fine arts stuff.
Actually, I don't think we actually have a position of athletic director anymore, but nevertheless, to your point, maybe that needs to be part of the report. It's here's what's going on with fine arts, here's what's going on with the Friends of FFA, it's an activity. Here's, because they are school events, here's what's going on with Sports Booster and.
But, well, I mean, the other thing that I also challenge us back is, we have to look at it from their lens, is, you know, some things that are like, well, is it worth asking the school to contribute on some of these wants things? Maybe this is a want with the larger booster club thing. It does impact the greater group, you know, and that's where, like, how do we get involved in when they're generating those ideas of what necessarily is something that they should pursue?
I get that. To me, it's a facilities thing. It is our facility. You're asking to make a modification. I just think we need to say yes or no. But if you say we want to buy new uniforms, if it's coming out of your budget and it's part of that, I'm fine. I do want to ask this question. If it's coming out of activity funds, I know that we were, there's been some talk about we were short funding for some proms, some senior class trips based on the new model we went to several years ago. Does this in any way impact any of those activities that are the kids are raising money for over that 4 or 5 year period at all?
I can say this about that. The first easy answer is no.
Okay.
Not at all. The other answer is, if we're short on those funds, and someone should come to my office and say, I need $2,000. We need more money.
Okay.
I haven't
That's
had
all
that-
I'm-
haven't had that happen.
Okay,
So, I've heard the story, but I haven't had that happen, so.
well, I know, so, it's all.
Okay, well, the task at hand, approving this, just keep things moving here, because I think everybody needs to reflect on this a little bit, and then like at the next work session, we'll dive into it a little deeper and start thinking through ideation as to like, make these things happen. That's what we need to do, but I mean, the task at hand is to, we have a bid in front of us, we're painting this, we wanted John to come and talk to us about what the general vision of the gym was, since it is the showcase of the district. So that's what we're approving here.
Motion to approve the painting of this sword logo.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Matt, second by Adam to approve the bid as presented. John says the date on it is still good on it. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-2. All right.
And just add one thing, with nothing to do with sports. You guys have a really hard job to do, a lot of millions of things on foot, so, I mean, talking about paying for 2 hours, it is a big deal to a lot of people, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, now on to Mill, sorry. Okay, so we'll take a 5-minute recess, so we'll start back up at 9:10.
Stretch break. Oh my God. I sat and picked green beans for 4.5 hours last night. I feel like I'm 900 years old. I only got over 45.
So, even though I wanna have the conversation, we'll keep going here. So first, we're coming back to milk bids. Very
Milk bids.
exciting. Usually they're not due, they're not in this time, so this is good.
Yeah, so we got milk bids in, had one, milk bid, submitted that was able to meet the specifications within the, requested bid package. And so it'd be my recommendation to approve Anderson Erickson Dairy with their escalation pricing.
I'll move to approve Anderson Erickson as our milk provider.
Second. Oh,
Jen's got it.
second.
Motion by Doug, second by,
With the escalator.
Yes.
second by Jen to approve the Anderson Erickson dairy milk pricing with escalation pricing. Any further discussion? See it none, proceed to vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Alright, motion carried. Next item is the garbage bid. We have bids presented and a recommendation to go Cooley Sanitation for the bids.
Move to approve the Cooley sanitation for our garbage.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jen, second by Amanda to approve Cooley Sanitation for the garbage bids. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll approve, or proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion carries. Approve legal counsel, so we have a recommendation to carry on with Allers and Cooney as the district's legal counsel for the 26-27 school year.
So,
Motion by Matt.
Second.
Second by Dick to approve Allers and Cooney as the district's legal counsel for 2027. Any further comments or concerns? See none, proceed to vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? That motion carries. Next item is to approve the official newspaper of the district, so the recommendation is to approve and carry on with the Grundy Register as the district's official newspaper publication.
I move approval.
Motion by,
Wait, discussion?
Second.
Oh, okay.
motion by Adam, second by Matt to approve the Grundy Register as the district's official publication. Any further discussion?
Yeah, how did it come to be that we aren't doing like the Star or whatever? it is?
Sun
Courier?
So,
Publication timeline.
publication timelines for them, we had to always submit roughly about a week and a half to 2 weeks ahead of time of when anything had to be publicated, or published, thank you. And so with through the bonding process and all that, like sometimes we weren't getting enough of that information to be able to, like deadlines were incredibly tight. And so that was one of the biggest drivers of that. With the Grundy Register, we're able to get stuff sent in the Tuesday prior to the issue going out by noon. So it's, I think it goes out Thursday night, Friday is their disbursement date. And so that extended our amount of time leeway by almost, or pretty close to a week within that. So that was a big driver for that. We had looked at going with the courier as well from out of Waterloo, just because distribution map, anybody that carried either the Grundy Register or the Sun Courier usually carried the courier as well. And they also had their publication timelines, you can usually get it in like 2 days prior, but they publish multiple issues throughout the week. So that was one of the benefits there, but it's still one of those things where we also don't get a lot of local coverage and stuff necessarily from the courier, so going with a paper that still provides local coverages for sports, activities, district news, and things like that was something that we wanted to desire there, and we put that together last year.
And Caleb's also being pretty nice on this. If you remember, there's several special meetings that were attributed to misprints within the Sun Courier that caused us to take additional time and energy and effort and cost to go through and do that, and also some things happened in the background that kind of helped with the decision as well too.
Okay, I couldn't remember what the rationale was, thank you.
There's 3 good sticking points to that to where it was.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we had the original motion by Adam, second by Matt to approve the going to register as the district's official publication. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. The name of the official depositories, so, we have a recommendation of the official depositories for the district as Lincoln Savings Bank, First Interstate Bank, ISJIT, which that is the Iowa School Joint Investment Trust.
I will move to approve the following banks and amounts for the 26-27 school year. I am gonna make a modification here to add to do Lincoln Savings Bank, First Interstate Bank, Iowa School Joint Investment Trust, and People's Savings Bank with a $28 million limit at each.
I'll second it.
Motion by Doug, second by Amanda to approve the following banks in the amounts of the 2025-26 school years for Lincoln Savings Bank, First Interstate Bank, Iowa School Joint Investment Trust, and People's Savings Bank with $28 million limit each.
So what does that mean, adding another bank? Just that it could be a place where we put money, doesn't necessarily commit us to.
Correct. So right now, all of our depositories listed, we would be able to then deposit money into it with the addition to People's Savings. I am working through a process and getting some information where we can actually put out kind of a RFP for rates from each of those then too. And so we'd be able to send that out, and then that would allow us to make decisions of who like our primary bank would be that we invest with or deposit money, because they could give us a higher return on that. Right now, we have not really done an RFP on that for quite a while, just because we've kept the local banks, and then ISJIT's rate is usually pretty good, so that's where we put like all of our bond funding and all of our big cash deposits go into ISJIT. And then we utilize like Lincoln Savings, there's a little bit better rate than First Interstate Bank, and so we've done most of our like payroll processing and stuff that then transfers into Lincoln Savings to utilize for that. So, but going through that RFP process would then allow us to say, okay, here's the rates of like our top 3 groups that we can go with. This would be what we want to amend our depositories to, and then rank them like in this order as who we would select, because these are the rates that we can get at each as well. So I'm in the process of getting that prepared. So we'll get that RFP out once, kind of waiting for people to get a little bit established, like open the doors, but as soon as they're open, we'll get that RFP out, and then we can get all those competing rates.
Yeah, district, absolutely. Good for our school district so far, I think it's important that we help support them.
Yep.
Now, to your point, you could put $10 in or 10 million, but
yeah, and I think that's part of your RFP is also to show, I would say, just a gross transaction history with each one. Because I mean, like, you know, I know with like First Interstate Bank, I mean, we've kept them on because they're local. They change names, and then each time we change names, then we change signatories, do all that stuff, and have to go through different process. So like that's where, you know, let's evaluate that, and then just so everybody's aware of how much business we do with each one.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, good discussion. We'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Who was the second on
That is me.
Okay, so the resolution for bank signature changes. So we have a recommendation to approve Alan DeVore and Hirschberger upon his return. Caleb Leger and Catherine showed up as signers for financial institutions.
So moved.
Motion by Matt,
I'll second it.
second by Amanda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right. Next item is the elementary junior high handbooks. So we have all the handbooks, and then you have a summary of the changes. So thanks for adding that. Okay, so So the summary of the changes are for the elementary handbook, new technology school requirements, student conduct and educational disruption, attendance and open enrollment updates, reading proficiency updates, general updates to staff assignments, contract information, calendar year references, legal citations, general wording. Changes to the junior high school handbook is a new one, is artificial intelligence. Dress code, revisions to that, 8th grade participation in high school activities, first state law, early graduation, requirements, changes, grading practices, technology updates, discipline matrix, which was used a few years ago, general updates to staff assignments, contract information, calendar year references, legal citations, general wording and formatting for clarity. So then now we have the preschool family handbook. This is new, we're adding preschool. So program expansion enrollment. So there we have the next year's proposal of GR preschool and Little Rebels. Since we're housing it in that facility, Iowa quality preschool program standards, family communication engagement, health and safety program procedures, general updates to those items listed. And then,
this is just an overall summary.
okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that overall summary, I'm just reading this aloud so that everybody's kind of aware of what some of the changes are. Compliance with Iowa law and statement requirements, clarification of district expectations, preparation for emerging issues, operational updates, improved organizational readability, and those other items that are listed in the other handbooks. So, I'll take a motion to approve the handbook changes as presented, based on those summaries.
So moved.
Motion by Amanda, second by Adam, to approve the handbook, student parent handbooks as presented. Any further comments, questions, concerns?
I'd like to move to amend that to strike the addition of the hats, headgear being decided by the classroom teacher.
Where's that? Junior high school handbook. Under.
No other school district around us, they all prohibit hats in the classroom. Now you're making the teacher the quote bad guy of, well, Fred lets us wear hats, but Bill doesn't. And I just think we need to be consistent across the board. And I did review 3 area districts, and their policies say no headgear. Can be worn between classes, before or after school, but not in the classroom. So that's my amendment, motion to, or move, or my amendment, so.
Yeah, we have a motion to amend the motion to remove headgear from the handbook.
Has it always been allowed in the past?
No.
Jen seconded.
Jen seconded that amendment?
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
So, what was the reason for the change?
Well, the reason for the change, try to keep up with the times a little bit. We have a lot of kids that come into the building from internships. I wouldn't say a lot of kids, we probably have, half dozen kids on a consistent basis that will wear a hat. But they're coming in and out of the building from internships and other places, and I guess I put in the piece about leaving up the teacher's discretion just because it's their classroom. And if they feel that's a distraction, have them remove it. If it's not a distraction, let's not make it an issue.
It makes it an issue by allowing it in some of the classrooms. Then it becomes an issue when you have to tell them that you don't want the hat on.
I just think it's, I'm gonna go back, you removed your hat, we're in a building, we're here in a public meeting. I get you're gonna come and go, take it off, put it in your pocket, put it in the back. I know it seems like a minor thing, change of culture, but you know, one can say, I don't mind your spaghetti straps or your midriff, your other things we ban there. I just think be consistent, not only with us, but around area schools. Let's just keep the way it was.
And isn't that language kind of changed too? Just as modest?
I didn't recall that, but it does say something about spaghetti straps and midriff and cleavage
I
and.
don't think it does now.
Yes, yeah.
It just says dress modestly.
It says midriff, alright, tops.
Yeah, tops. So, that's the reason behind that.
Okay, we'll proceed to vote on the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, aye. Okay, motion carries.
The amendment carries.
The amendment carries. Okay, the next one is to vote on the, approval of the amendments by the original motion by Amanda and second by Adam, to approve the handbook. So we'll proceed to vote with the amendment as the, involved in that. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next one is the master contract handbook.
So Kara's been working through cleaning up language and providing more specificity within the handbook. What she's put together is, in her highlighted parts would be the things that she's looking to change, as far as language goes. So her request is that we approve the language as presented, and then she's gonna continue to clean up like ordering and organization of that, and then we'll be able to bring back the full handbook for, you know, the general approval of the handbook and master contract language in August, so.
Okay.
No action right now.
So it'd be action on the like current proposed language of it, and then we'll approve the full handbook when it's reordered and ready to be fully published in August. That's her request.
Okay, so the, just to review, so everybody's aware of what those summary changes were, so professional boundaries of students, so just kind of reiterate some of those items there. Emergency closures and virtual learnings, educational and advancement, there's some items there. Teacher coverage, compensation, holiday clarifications, leave usage, transportation of students, that one specifically is not an in-person vehicle, that's a big one. And then the other ones, so. I'll take a motion to approve the, master contract as presented.
Question, holiday clarifications, add the day after Christmas and New Year's Eve as paid holidays for eligible 2-month class of employees. Those weren't.
So they weren't within the handbook.
Okay,
They were,
so we're adding.
yes, we're just providing the clarity, so we approve those within negotiations and stuff, but it's not reflected actually in the.
Okay, to talk, are we in discussion or no?
We don't have a motion to approve it yet. Okay. I mean, we can discuss it then.
Okay. Article 6, professional development, A1 talked about laying advancements and steps. Do we have that in place?
So we currently, within the master contract language, do have the ability for staff to get, move, up on pay scale with turning in credit hours, and then, if they've completed an additional degree, to get an advancement on that. So that was negotiated last year.
Is that what you mean by lane advancement?
Well, it
So-
says lane advancement and steps, and I don't think we have a unit like that in place.
No. That terminology doesn't apply.
That's correct.
Right.
Or else we need to develop that lane advancement and steps, which really is where I think we need to be.
Yep. So,
That was removed several years ago.
That's what I heard, yeah.
So, anyway.
That's when we lost our negotiating power.
True, but there was still allocations made if you went and got your masters, you got a bump and things like that, but anyway.
And also, there wasn't a good explanation, if it's graduate credit only, that we accept renewal credit, undergraduate credit doesn't have to apply to your work, job assignment, because I think we've had a lot of discrepancy in that area.
Okay, so I'm gonna recommend this. Why don't we table this, since we're gonna approve it next week?
Okay.
And then, please send that out.
Yep,
And
I'll get
then
those.
let's have a discussion about those specifics we have during the work session.
Okay.
So make sure that she's got it updated by then, and then we'll vote on it, for the next meeting. How does that sound?
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay.
It's not next week though, right?
No, work session not next week, it's fine. Application next week, it's sweet.
Not till August.
Not till August.
Still have 2 weeks.
You said next week, so I just wanted to be clear.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So approval of the bond disclosure policy and post-issuance compliance policy for tax exempt obligations. Please explain this one.
Okay, so essentially this would be recent legislative change and stuff, so within our board policy, even though we've updated policies based on the policy primer from IASB, when James from Allerton County was going through our policies and looking at our bond disclosure policies and things like that, there were some additional recommendations that he suggested to amend those or add and adopt this additional policy language to shore those up. That just provides additional protections for the district or specifies how we need to disclose anything for our bonds and then our post-issuance, so basically continuing to maintain that ongoing reporting and all that as required by the bond. So it's just providing more specificity within that. This was a request that he had sent to me of, hey, you guys have this, but we would appreciate some of the additional language. So I felt like that anytime I can have legal counsel provide us with some advice that shores up policies, something I want to recommend.
So one question I have to them, because they probably originally gave us the language before, so like, are they just amending?
No, there was a legislative change in 2017 federally, but then and so we have changed some of our policies to reflect those changes in reporting. It's just not as specific as, like I said, we utilized, when I redid or went back through to look at the policies and amendments through ISB's recommended policy language, like that's coming from that entity. When he went through our stuff, this was some of the gap areas that he felt like, hey, this can help shore that up a little bit better,
So is there, because I mean, like, it seems like these are sprinkled in throughout the year, like a verbiage thing from Allerton County. Can we have them do like a bucket yearly?
Yeah, I can, yep.
Because I mean, if we're not going out there and soliciting this and asking them for an update, and they know what the changes are already, then just have them recommend that, and we just do a group change all at once of what they recommended based on what their experience in all these other schools.
They have started getting better at that, so like this year, I got like ISB's policy recommendation language for the new legislation that went through, and then Allerton County's is also currently releasing their stuff combination, so we'll be bringing that hopefully within August and September, get those changes approved there. This is probably one of those where we probably adopted something, but again, this would have been prior to my arrival to the district and stuff too, that was recommended by ISD at that time, but Eilers may not have released it, or because we had not gone through a bonding process and had to do the reporting, was not as much on the radar, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion for this one to approve the language, or the recommendation, to approve the verbiage from Allerton County regarding our bond disclosure and post-issuance policy.
Move approval.
Motion by Adam,
I'll second it.
second by Amanda, thank you, to approve the post issuance policy language for and bond closures. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Okay, next one is the revision of policy 504.6. So this is mainly like a state law now that eighth graders can participate, so it's not like we're really doing anything different except we're going through what the law states, right?
Yep, we're just adding this to within policy. My caveat to this is what is currently shown here would be recommended policy language that has been developed through like our NICL partners. So what we were to do as a conference is really try to have something that we could put in that would be reflected across the conference. Right now, and it's a little bit of the Wild West of what people are putting in for policy language because the DE has issued their initial guidance, but part of the bill required the DE to initial guidance of how to handle that, but then also start collecting public comment of what then would be advised policy language. So we don't have advised policy language from the DE yet, just their current guidance. And their current guidance is basically eighth grade participation is up to a local decision, whether or not. So I do appreciate as a conference through ADs and through superintendent discussion, this is what we've kind of worked to do. It still provides a plentiful opportunity, but really kind of specifies when a district would utilize it at this point in time until we have additional information. Because, for example, where this gets messy is one, I haven't seen or heard how this is going to impact baseball and softball for next year. Currently, if you're a baseball and softball player in 8th grade, you can play up and play at JV or varsity levels, but you can also maintain participation at the 8th grade level. The current DE's guidance says you can only participate in either high school or 8th grade. And if you play one game as an 8th grader for that season, you cannot play any games as a high schooler. And if you play one game as a high schooler, you can't play any games as an 8th grader. So there's some discrepancy there compared to what current practice is that will be interesting to see how that plays out. And then the other thing would just be we're still kind of seeing the trickle down effect. I mean, obviously, I think this bill was passed heavily for athletics, but we're starting to see our other activities pick up on some of this too. So it's funny, the day we were talking about this as a leadership team, I'm like, I don't know what the band and choir organizations are going to do, what speech is going to do. And as I was saying that, I literally got an email from the State Speech Association that they are going to extend the 9th grade class to include 8th graders. So if you have 8th graders that want to participate in competition speech, they can now do that, and that's not going to impact any eligibility or anything, but I'm kind of waiting to see if any of our band and choir groups are going to do that too, because I could see some schools looking at that as, instead of running a 7th to 8th grade program and a high school program, can we combine those? And the only difference would be our 7th graders don't go to the competitions that are state sanctioned, but they do everything else together, so now your size of your band could grow and things like that. So it'll be interesting what kind of other side impacts this has as well, but yeah, this would be the language that all conference schools are adopting to put into their handbooks, and I know some are beginning to amend their policies and stuff too. I just didn't have this, so this would be putting it into policy within our participation component to match our handbook language then, just so it's doubled up there. But we may have a
question here. I get we gotta do all this stuff, but it says the decision of the athletic department shall be final and not subject to appeal. Every other where we have the ability for either a student or whatever to appeal. Is this part of the code that they can't appeal this, or would there be a process that they don't like the decision? And the decision may end up being the same, that they fill out the form, it comes before whoever, like we would do to appeal, whatever, a suspension or anything.
Yeah, no. So
is that necessary?
I think that the toughest part in conversations is where's the slippery slope?
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to avoid happening is where you're gonna have situations where you have a kid that may be really good and they could potentially help out JV, maybe they could be like a return person or an outfielder or something like that. But for the continuity of the program, the coach's decisions are, no, we wanna have that kid participate in 8th grade because we don't wanna separate the team. We don't wanna, it may impact our or our 8th grade season and stuff.
So basically we could, but you're saying not to.
Asking not to, because
Okay.
it just makes it more muddy, and parents would be the ones putting in that request of, I think my kid should, and it's just more work to go through there.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll move to approve the revision for policy 504.6.
Second.
Motion by Matt, second by Adam to approve the revision of policy 504.6 as presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Alright, motion carries. Okay, next one is the contracts with Hawkeye Community College and Gladbrook-Reinbeck. So you have the contract as presented. There is a recommendation to approve said contract.
Basically the same contract as.
Yep. Yep, it's just, re-upping that for another year, so.
So no significant structural
No,
outline changes?
no.
Costs or anything not outlined in here at all?
So it's just the agreement to be able to offer the courses. I don't believe the costs, have changed, so.
Just really quick question, and because I think we need to do it, but there's personal finance and, or the other one that, or don't we already offer that inside the building?
Yep, so if they're offered inside the building already, yep, the only reason we would ever allow is if it wasn't able to fit in their schedule within our resources that we provide with, yep.
Okay, I'll do your motion.
So moved.
Motion by Adam,
Second.
second by Matt, thank you, to approve the contract as presented between Gladbrook-Reinbeck and Hawkeye Community College. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Alright, motion carries. Next item is Caleb's report, it's all yours.
Okay, so within my report, this past month has been a lot of digging into what legal law changes and stuff that we're trying to look at, what DE is suggesting, what recommended policy revisions could be, and then what then potential impacts would be, and work with our leadership team to go through those. One of the big ones was definitely then also the student discipline bill. That's gonna be an interesting one as we work through this year. It definitely got better from what it started out as, but it essentially specifies certain things. So if a student is removed for a disrupting or aggressive behavior, there are certain procedures and protocols you now have to follow for that student to be able to re-enter the classroom. And they're different in the junior high school versus the elementary as well. And based on age range, things like that. But essentially, for a student to be able to re-enter, there has to be a meeting of some sort between the student, the teacher, and the principal to be able to occur for that student to come in. But it's very specific on what those like disrupting or aggressive behaviors are. So it's big thing for this is what we're trying to work on right now is what needs to be communicated to our staff, because sending a kid out for, blurting and things like that probably isn't gonna reach the threshold. So if they go to the office for, a check-in with Sean or things like that to get kind of a reset, come back to class, that may not require it. But if they're sent out for an aggressive behavior, like they push another student or things like that, now they do have to have that. And if they reach so many, it's an automatic in school, whereas school suspension. So there's just some other procedural protocols that we're gonna have to just really work through throughout this year to ensure that we're being able to follow that law. Kara and I attended a good training. We're both up to get our evaluators trained for our licenses and stuff. So we went to a training through SAI that really dug into kind of the 4DX or 4 Disciplines of Execution framework. That's gonna be something that, as getting your feedback and stuff through my evaluation process of looking at developing like strategic plans, those types of things for the district. That's gonna guide some of the work that I'm digging into with our leadership team throughout this next year, and then we'll open that up throughout the year to include more stakeholder groups and stuff as we're working towards developing a strategic plan for the district. So those are some highlights. Construction is definitely been entirely in full swing and been going pretty good. I try to stop into the building at least 2 to 3 times a week just to kind of see the overall progress, and yeah, it's been really good. I can't reiterate enough, the crews that we have on site have been really good to work with. They've been very accommodating, flexible, working through and troubleshooting and problem solving anything that they're coming up with, and it's just nice, you know, having confidence, and especially some of the head contractors and the leads of, you know, their crews and groups. I stopped today and talked with Jason, the electrician on site, and he was telling me about how he was getting on some of the plumbing crews. They're holding up some of the electrical work, and it's just not, I mean, they're holding each other all accountable, and so it's good. They're working well and doing some good things there. So other than that, I don't have anything to add unless there's any questions.
I know there was a section in there talking about advanced planning for district leadership retreats. Is that something we usually do?
So that's what I call it, leadership retreat. It's basically where I'm planning a time that I'm getting our leadership team together to then look at what we're structuring throughout the rest of the school year. So I just call that a retreat. Normally we do that on site or within the community.
Okay.
I think
It should be a retreat.
I think last year we went to Grundy Center to the Natural Grind and had their bathroom there. But yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the report. Okay, so we have the work session times, August 4th, as presented. I think we keep that, we need to keep it, just because, so basically I'm saying if you have conflicts, that's okay, we're gonna keep this, just so because the first and foremost is just getting updates on the whole stuff going in, so we can pivot.
I'll need a virtual.
Virtual, okay.
And then the regular meeting, so that is before school this time. Usually we have it after the first week, it's a chaotic mess, so that's good. Anybody have any quick issues with that?
Just a quick question, we talked about some things that we needed to approve. Is there anything that we didn't approve tonight that would need to be approved before the 20th so we could do it right before the?
Not at this time, okay, no.
I would say, at this point, just keep your head on a swivel. And
It's fine.
special meetings are boring, so like, if you're not available, that's okay, as long as we have a quorum, we're gonna go on and figure it out. So, then beg for forgiveness if you don't agree with what it is, so. Okay,
This is for September meeting, but we used to have the new staff
New staff,
members,
right, yeah.
so let's
Yeah, all
do
of that
that in
included, yeah.
September. But
Yeah.
okay, so, we're okay with those 2 times? Alright, so we're gonna note those as the times there. Okay, so then now, per Iowa Code 21.5 1I, to conduct a superintendent evaluation. So we're going to close session, so we'll do a roll call vote here to go into closed session. So we're just going to go around the horn, Babbitt.
Aye.
Keith.
Aye.
Ellie.
Aye.
DeVore, aye. Wyatt.
Alright,
Earl.
Aye.
Augie.
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session. Make sure all the stuff's shut out here.